Hey everybody, Renegade 68 and or 7 here with some more Let's Play stream. I almost said Yu-Gi-Oh! I was talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Before this stream officially started. Anyways, let's play Fate Stay Night of the blind variety, now in the Unlimited Blade Works section, I guess. I went ahead and changed the stream title to keep the Unlimited Blade Works relevant without having to make it as the title of the video each time, which I guess won't matter to the YouTube audience because I don't title my YouTube. Hold on, wait, do I title my YouTube videos? I haven't uploaded one of my YouTube videos in a while for the Fate series. Do I even title them, or do I just title the Twitch videos? I could be saying things that don't even matter to the YouTube audience, so it won't even matter. Oh, I do title them, but I give them different titles. Right. Because when I title my Twitch videos, I'm basically doing it based on the last video, because I don't necessarily know for sure what we're doing. But when I title the YouTube videos, I know what happened in the video. So they're different titles. Anyways. Unlimited Blade Works has moved from being the video title to being a subtitle of the title. So, breakfast is placed on the table. Ayako is someone we're interested in. Yeah, because we talked to Sakura once, and then we switched timelines because I realized I didn't pick the other choice. And I like picking all the choices. And we still talked to Sakura, but it was actually more interesting and stuff. But we didn't get the graphic, the pretty graphic that I definitely did see on my first time through the game that I guess I just forgot. Surprised with how horny I am. Alright, breakfast is placed on the table. A perfect breakfast consisting of chicken salad, cooked gosh, yeah, I look at this stuff, it's like, that's your fucking breakfast? I know they say it's a more important meal of the day, but like, chicken for breakfast? I guess it's because it's a salad. Chicken salad. I mean, I'm down to eat whenever, but like, I'm down to eat whatever, whenever, for the most part. I don't put much stock in, oh, you can only have cereal at breakfast time. But at the same time, when you call it a breakfast, when you call it a perfect breakfast, to me, the implication is that it's breakfast-type food. And I just look at chicken salad, and I'm like, I'd have that for lunch, or maybe dinner. I wouldn't have that for a breakfast food. I might actually have it for breakfast, but I'd never call it breakfast. I just eat whatever, whenever. Cooked salmon, took 2 different types of soup, and a salad and fish. Yeah, cooked salmon, spinach, radish, carrot, miso soup, yam soup. That's, like, crazy. Yeah. Like, you can't call that a perfect breakfast. You can call it a perfect meal, but how is this a breakfast? That's not at best, it's a brunch. Itadakimasu. Sakura and I bow and start our meal quietly. The sounds of our chopsticks echo. Sakura isn't the talkative type, and I'm not versatile enough to talk while eating. Right. Do I have to read all this out? No, because I'm recapping again. I was reading it all out before because it was a new scene. Anyways, I'm not versatile enough to talk while eating. Oh, that's right. I had a pet peeve about that. I don't like talking while eating. Naturally, meal times are quiet. To me, those are the best meal times. Savor the food you're eating. Don't, like, disgrace it by talking over it. Also, please don't disturb me while I'm eating by talking, because I like to think while I eat. That's right. I even said that, yeah. I like thinking while I eat. I think it's a good think time to think while I eat. When someone tries to talk at me while I'm thinking, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm eating/thinking. Usually it's louder, but today the loud person is. She must have been watching spy movies last night as she's eyeing us while hiding behind a newspaper. You shouldn't read the newspaper during meals? Ellipses. Fujine ignores Sakura's question. Oh, that's right. When I started, I was calling her Fujini. That was before I realized the lingo, the fact that it was English, Japanese, anyways. She's acting weird, but Fujine always acts in suspicious ways during breakfast. Sakura must be used to it as she continues to eat with no particular care. Sakura prefers to make Western foods. Okay, Sakura's got a preference for Western. We remembered! Sakura, you must hate all the kids nowadays using their phones while eating. Sakura, or you mean me? Wait, phones? Wait, using their phones so long as they're not talking to me? Or do you mean talking on their phone while eating? If they're talking to someone, but not me, I guess it doesn't matter who they're talking to. I just want them to shut up, but, you know. Enjoy the meal in silence, Tim. Okay, so Sakura makes Western foods. I thought that was right. I didn't know. I thought she was the middle ground, but anyways. She learned to cook Japanese food after she started coming here to help. Right, so Shiro is the Japanese fooder, though he's pretty good all around. Sakura's the Western fooder, though she's getting better at Japanese food. And I guess Rin's the Chinese fooder, from what Wiseful said. Because she questioned Taiga reading a newspaper. Oh, because, yeah, you should focus on the food. I agree with that. I think you should just focus on the food. Don't even focus on talking. But I guess she might not agree with that part. Ah, you shouldn't read the newspaper during meals. Oh, okay, yeah. Started here to help. I honestly don't care if someone reads the newspaper. Just don't distract me while I'm eating. But I can understand from someone who maybe puts more respect on the food aspect that they don't disrespect it like that. I will just use that as an excuse if someone tries to talk to me while I eat. Just respect the food and not talk while you're eating. But that's not really why I say it. Why I want it. Quiet. I've just started coming here to help. Fuji and I prefer Japanese, so Sakura learned to make Japanese food for our breakfast. Yes, she's both of your housewife. Now she's so good that she almost surpassed me, her teacher. I don't know about that. Some people seem to really like your cooking. Then again, I don't know how much of Sakura's cooking Saber or even Rin probably would have tried it in the past, but I don't know how much Saber would have tried Sakura's cooking in the first timeline. Maybe not ever. I don't know. Because like there was a lot of Sakura in the first 3 days, but then once Saber showed up, Sakura very quickly sort of disappeared into the background. Her miso soup is tasty, and she has shown some capacity even for making yam soup by grinding yams. By grinding yamchas. I think this is the first time she's made it. Pass me the soy sauce. For what? For soup? That's so weird. Isn't soy sauce just for rice? I didn't think you were having rice. I just use soy sauce on rice. Using anything else seems weird to me, but sure. The soy sauce is empty. Whatever will we do? You each have your own soy sauce? Oh, that's right. That was the joke, is that he goes to get Fujine's soy sauce, and it's not actually soy sauce. And then Fuji's like, ha ha ha, and laughs at his face. I remember now. But that's still weird to me. Personal soy sauce? I guess if they're different soy sauces. There are different soy sauce brands, to be fair. There actually is a soy sauce I know I like. That I know I have some friends and family that don't like it. And so when they have their soy sauce, I have my... Okay, that's not that weird. A personal soy sauce is weird, but I guess if it's... Alright. May I Fujimura-sensei? Fujine nods. But see, the weird thing about that to me is that if I was out of my personal soy sauce, I wouldn't use another soy sauce. That's the whole reason we would have different soy sauces, because I like one, they would like another. I wouldn't want their other. I would just not want rice in that case. Or if we had rice, no, I wouldn't want rice. I feel like I have to have soy sauce with rice. But I wouldn't want soy sauce I don't like. I would just be like, can someone else eat this rice? If we don't have the soy sauce, I don't want it. But, Fujine nods. Her newspaper trembles. Soy sauce and soup is weird, but granted, I don't know if I've ever had yam soup, so I won't knock it. Do you? I'll take your word for it. I put the soy sauce under the white yam soup. After stirring it, I put on the rice, take a bite. Oh, you put rice on the yam soup afterwards. Okay, I guess it works. Stickiness of the yam and the taste of the soy sauce. Oyster sauce, right. And she laughs. Throws newspaper away. I haven't done this in a while, but I actually am going to go ahead and, I don't need to affect all of them. Let's just go ahead and say, whoop, for right now. Because we are skipping through repeated stuff. Yeah. Female spy throws her arms to show her happiness. What do you think? You're always like this even though you'll be 25 this year. Wait. You're always like this even though you'll be turning 25. Oh gosh, she's 25. I just forgot how old she actually was. I'm sure I probably commented on this the first time around, but... It's close to my age, and it's weird to think of myself as around the same age. Did it teach you a lesson for what you did yesterday? It's divine justice for picking on me with everyone else. Right, the Taiga joking. Okay, my memories of the early part are coming back. As I go through it, though, so... I guess I'm just still of the mindset that, like, I think most people are like this. They think, wow, when they're a teenager, they think someone in their mid-20s, like, they're an adult, they sure are old. And then when you start getting there, you're like, I still feel like a teenager, honestly. I'm not really mid-20s. I'm a teenager at heart. But then, like, I guess not all, I guess the only people that would act like an adult when they reach that age are people that probably would have started acting like an adult prematurely. They'd be in one of those households, or they'd be raised in such a way. I think most people, it takes them till, maybe their 30s to accept that, oh, I guess I am an adult. At the very, like, I don't know. It's just interesting, playing games and watching stuff now when I see these adult figure characters and they're like, wow, this is the responsible person to look up to. Oh, they're younger than me in real life. That's weird. That's right, that's why I have to go and start grading exams now? Yep, I should hurry up. Fujine sits back down and finishes her breakfast quickly. Breakfast was lovely as always, Sakura-chan. Thank you, Sensei. Going on ahead, I'll get mad if you two are late. She runs off. There's something wrong with a world in which that thing is a teacher. A lot of the cast is pretty responsible since they have no parents. That's true. That's very fair. When you lose your parents at an early age, it helps you. It forces you. I don't know if help is the right word. In some ways, I guess. But it forces you to learn to be responsible much quicker than, someone who has people to look out for them, until they're 20 or whatever, depending. And even afterwards, they, sometimes can help for a lot longer. Teacher, for example, a 25-year-old teacher. I'm sure I would have said something about that. 25 is fucking young for a teacher. Because, at least, I don't know about Japan, but over here, because you got to take, there's, quite a few things you have to go through. Because you have, the college. I think there's, a teacher's college. But then you also need, a certain amount of, credits towards being an assistant teacher before you can become a full. I feel like 25 is pretty close to the youngest you can be to be a teacher over here. Pretty close. 24 might be the youngest. So it's just interesting. But again, I don't know how different Japan is, but Senpai? Sorry about that. Fujine didn't really take the time to enjoy breakfast. I think becoming a teacher in Japan would be even stricter. I wouldn't know. Their work culture? That's true. They are more dedicated to the role enforcement, but it's not that, did you do something to her yesterday? It's a bit much for Fujisensei to play with the food. So now, that's right, Sakura partially blames Shiro for doing the thing that triggered Taiga in the first place, because Taiga's just like that, instead of blaming Taiga, which shows that, they've been conditioned to accept Taiga like this, which is, problematic. You shouldn't just accept it. Come on, fight back against the thing. It's Taiga's fault, not Shiro's. Next St. Clarberry nickname. I guess it can't be helped in that case. She didn't apologize to her, did you, Senpai? Can't be helped. Just accepting it. Forgot something happens all the time. You mustn't. Furimajima-sensei doesn't like you calling her so, Senpai. You made her cry again, didn't you? I don't think she cries based off that. Or if she does, it's like okay, she does sometimes, but it's not a real cry. It's like one of those fake cries that Taiga does sometimes. This scene shows that Sakura isn't fully on Shiro's dick 24/7. Well, that's not necessarily true. I feel like, okay, it's not the same thing as maybe the way Shiro is a sabersexual later on. I think she is very devoted to Shiro, but at the same time, she can notice some of his shortcomings. And she likes the part she likes enough, but she still, wants to be helpful where she can versus, oh, I think Shiro can do no wrong. Which is less healthy, I would say. Granted, you shouldn't necessarily try to change someone just because they're different. If you think the different is bad, but then there are certain points where you think the different is bad, but they don't think the different is bad, and then you have to accept a middle ground, or if you don't, you just part ways. But very devoted, but yeah. But she doesn't really look in and see, even though she tries to help with his surface flaws, I don't think she necessarily notices his, deep inner flaws, the way like Saber does, for example, later on. Probably because she's not, she wouldn't be looking for them. She looks at Shiro as this big heroic figure, and even if she will notice the surface area flaws. She won't dig or won't want to dig for deeper flaws because she wouldn't want to think this person she looks up to is so flawed, which in itself, not being willing to look, is a flaw. But that's only if she's not willing to look and just genuinely isn't noticing because she has so much of her own shit to deal with, which is fair. Made her run away too. Yesterday's English lesson was a self-study because of it. I was awarded a student honor written on notepaper, but I threw it away. It was all your fault then. Like a big sister for Sakura, so she's basically on Fujine's side. I mean, sure, Fuji's her big sister, but you're her knight in shining armor, so... Thank you, Villain Behind Glasses, for the bets. Good in some way, but I wish you'd consider my situation when I have to deal with Fuji 24/7. Fujine was originally an acquaintance of Father's. Shiro downplaying his role? Is he? Maybe I'm just skimming past the... I wish you'd consider my situation. Oh, I see. So she's basically on Fuji... Oh, that's what you mean? Just that you think that she's more on her than she is on Shiro's? Yeah. I've been coming to the house a lot since I was adopted. So you weren't fully alone when you said Kiritsugu would leave. She started to show up even more after Father died, and she's now almost a dependent, eating breakfast and dinner here. No. She's why I was able to make it on my own even after my... Yeah, that's right. Recognizing. She's your parental figure, even if she's kind of a goofball sometimes. Sakura and I are now the residents of the Miya household. But that changes into you, Saber, and Rin when the game starts, at least in the Fate pathway. I'm the only one who knows that my father was a magus. Is that true? Fuji really never learned that? I assumed the Yakuza family would just be in on it, but... It said that Magi must hide their identities. That's why I've been hiding the fact that I'm learning magic. I say I'm learning a single magic spell. With this kind of skill, it wouldn't make much difference whether I hide it or not. Finish breakfast, prepare for school. I clean the dishes. Oh, I remember this now, roughly. Isn't there something sketchy going on that was never followed up on? Dash. At the TV? Something about what's going on? Soccer screen at the TV screen. Over the screen runs an exaggerated teletype reading gas leak accent. Right. Maybe the big Yakuza boss knows, but not her? I suppose. Not until she comes of age and becomes the own I suppose. I just assumed that she was close enough that she would be let in, but I guess the Yakuza father wouldn't have wanted to put his daughter in such danger by knowing stuff like that. That's fair. Gas leak accident continues. Right, what's this gas leak accident thing? It seems there was a big accident in the neighboring town of Shinto. It happened in a building in the business district. It seems a whole floor of people ran out of oxygen. Oh, they're saying it's a gas leak, but it's not really a gas leak. Okay, I think I know what they're talking about then. A whole lot of people ran out of oxygen, so it's Shinji. Shinji did that, right? Because assuming we're not on different timelines, means different master servant partners or whatever. Because Ryder would set up the blood steal in the school, and when he did it early, it caused people to fall unconscious but not die. So that's probably Shinji's doing, and he's feeding Ryder. Right, so he's, okay. That sounds like that's probably what that is. I guess it could also be Castu, though, because I know that she was setting something up with the temple, but that sounds like Shinji Ryder from what we know of them. They've called it a gas leak, but this kind of accident is happening often recently. Okay, when did Shinji summon his servant? How long have... Because the first servant to be summoned was Berserker. I think they said that. So, like, does that mean Shinji's been doing this a lot to build up magical energy for Ryder? Maybe because Shinji's not really good at supplying Ryder with his own... Also, for one thing, he just wants Ryder to be as strong as possible. But for another thing, because Shinji's not a proper... Because Shinji's not a proper magical man, from what we know, he maybe has to do this to feed her, but also has no moral quandaries, because he seems just like a dick. Caster might have also been doing something similar. It sounds like a Caster thing. You'd think it's a Caster thing, but it definitely seems, but, you know, because there's some overlap. It's interesting how they set up these, I talked about this, but they set up these established tropes for these servants to fall into, and then break it, like, even before the game is fully went into it. It's like, oh, we have an archer, but we're not really going to show him using a bow and arrow at all in the first playthrough. We just won't do it. It's a bit hazy, but I think it was Berserker first, then Caster. Yeah, then Saber. Archer, Saber. Sure. Berserker, then Caster. So it's hard to say exactly before Archer and Saber how long the others have been around for. But he's saying this has been happening often recently. It makes me wonder what is recently, like the last week, the last 2 weeks. But that would assume that maybe Ryder or Caster has been building up power for a while. But I'm assuming Ryder for now because we already know it's her MO from the school thing. But are you ready about the news, Sakura? No, not really. I just thought it's near. Senpai, your workplace is in the Shinto area, right? It's not really a big place. I don't think an accident like that would happen there. It's not a risk I can completely ignore. Gas leaks can happen in any building, and on top of that, it hurts to think that hundreds of people are suffering. Instead, the accidents are happening often because of defective construction work. That is definitely a bunch of bullshit. Hurts to think that hundreds of people are suffering. It hurts, but there's nothing I can do about it. You just have to accept it and move on. You can't actually do anything, even though you want to be a superhero. I guess you're like, I'm not at my superhero stage yet, but then his training, I've been over this, I guess. Whether that's true or not, I certainly don't want any more victims. You don't want the victims, but you won't do anything to prevent the victims until, you know, it comes right in front of your face with the Grail War. It is dangerous. We'll have to be careful here, too. But don't worry, Senpai. I check the gas twice every time. Defective construction. You have X-ray magic. Check that shit out, mister. Yeah, that's true. Defective construction. That goes right in line with what he can do. I check the gas twice every time. Am I crazy? Why is the music so quiet? This doesn't affect it. No. The sound effects are the same volume. The music is just really quiet right now, but it does exist, doesn't it? It definitely does exist. I guess it got weirdly quiet because they want to emphasize the importance of the dialogue going on right now. It's just kind of weird. Sakura boasts with pride. No, it's not the point. Yeah, I've thought so before, but Sakura's a bit off too. Is she? Off in what way? Shiro, what do you know? You don't know anything? You're not going to follow up on it? Okay, the music got normal again. Did you lock the back door? I've thought so before, but Sakura's a bit off too. A bit off recently? Wait a second. I check the gas twice every time. I've thought so before, but Sakura's a bit off too. A bit off? The way you're talking, I don't think you mean in general. I don't think he means, oh, Sakura's off in general compared to how a normal person is. I think what he's saying, if I'm reading this correctly, what he's saying is, like, oh, these accidents have been happening recently. I don't think that she's implying anything like, Sakura's, you know, fucked in a similar way to Shiro. I think what, for the way I'm reading this, is that, Shiro's like, oh, these gas incidents have been happening a lot recently. And then, now he's thinking, Sakura is also a bit off recently. Is the way I'm reading into this, which would go in line with my theory that something fuckly-wuckly is going on with Sakura, and it would have just have to, come up all of a sudden. Or rather, what am I trying to say? That would mean that she's not some evil all along, planning things all along. It would mean that something made her evil recently, or something messed with her. Like, she does know more than she's letting on, and she's not happy about it, maybe. Thought so before, but Sakura's a bit off too. It could be that he is saying that, yeah, Sakura's off compared to himself, but he didn't really allude earlier on that he himself is off much. He kind of tries to tiptoe around the issue. It's possible that's what he means with that inner monologue. I've thought so before, but Sakura is a bit off too. Just though, because this is responding to, we'll have to be careful here. Don't worry, senpai, I check the gas twice every time. I check the gas twice every time. That's not the point. If it's Ryder fucking with people, Sakura might find out because of Shinji? Possibly. Maybe. She might know something about that. Even if she doesn't know the full story. Or maybe she just knows the full fucking story. I doubt that. I've thought so before. That's true. I've thought so before. That does imply that... I mean, Shiro knows there's some messed up stuff where before, I believe Shinji was at least in some way physically being problematic with Sakura, and that's why Shiro, like, punched him out in the past, I believe. Which means he knows that she's had problems like that. So, so if I thought so before is in relation to that, it's kind of weird, but maybe it is in relation, because it seems to be related to the idea of, don't worry, senpai, I check the gas twice every time. And if this line is the impetus, then there's two directions you can really take from that. The direction one is what I was saying, is that, oh, she's been checking the gas twice and doing stuff like that a lot recently. Like, that's weird. Like, she's being extra paranoid. Like, she knows the Grail War is coming or something. I don't know. Maybe she knows Shiro will be involved because she knows of the circle, or she knows something. Or the other line you can take with it is that she's always been the type of person to check the gas twice. She's always been the paranoid type. To always look for protecting because she's needed protection, or she wants to protect Shiro, and in that way, that's how she's a bit off because of her paranoia. Shiro's thinking that because she doesn't understand the danger or takes it seriously. Maybe. Doesn't understand the danger. Oh, you're implying Shiro does understand the danger? Well, maybe. Did you lock the back door? Oh, and there you go again, being like, oh, did you lock the back? I did, I bolted it. Is there a problem? She only responds with, I'll just check the gas twice, not anything else. Mrs. Shiro's point. That something weird is happening that, you know, oh, I see what you're saying. That the fact that these gas leaks are happening all at the same time is a weird coincidence. There's probably something more going on. That saying Shiro's a sharp cookie where Sakura doesn't think about that. I guess that's fair. It could be that Sakura's hiding that she knows more than she's letting on. Like, oh, I'll just check the gas twice every time. Because she does know something about Shinji, and that's why Shiro's like, are you really missing what I'm saying? I don't think you are. I guess that's fair. But this leads into the idea that Sakura is the paranoid type. Like, did you lock the back door? I mean, it's important to check stuff like that, for sure. But, you know, the way Shiro responds with, is there a problem? Whether it's a recent thing or like always thing changes the circumstances, but the line can be read a couple different ways, I suppose. The off a bit line. Not at all. Then I'll lock the front door now. When will you be home today, senpai? We'll be a bit late. What about you, Sakura? I'll be back at the usual time. I'll be here earlier, so I'll start getting dinner ready. I'll try to come home early too. We locked the gate. Sakura and Fujine also have keys to my house, and the rule is that the last person out locks up. I think the most likeliest read here is that Sakura is somewhat feigning ignorance, but is actually pretty paranoid. Uh-huh. Yeah. Feigning ignorance, but yeah, she knows something that's going on, she's trying to hide it. That's true. It seems so, that would imply... Well, okay, the paranoia of... There's two ways to even read the paranoia, though. Is it that, oh, she knows some crazy shit's going on, but she's trying to pretend like she doesn't know by pretending that she's paranoid just about gas leaks in general, or that she's a paranoid person in general? Or is the fact that she's paranoid lead into some deeper nuance in her backstory and how she's traumatized? I guess both are possible interpretations, or even can work one and the same. You won't want to make it to morning practice unless we hurry. I mean, you won't. You won't want to make it. Let's try then, senpai. We walked down to the town together, passing the long wall and going downhill. We had reached the residential district. My house is on top of the hill, far away from the center of town. Going down the hill takes to the residential district beyond that. We reach the crossroads, center of the town. Ah, there's that bridge. From here, there are many roads. A big bridge leading to the neighboring city. A hill road that leads to Ryudo Temple. Right. The residential district on the other side of town. Okay, we've now seen all these in the Fate side. To an extent. Oh, we've seen this too. The shopping district Sakura and I always use. And the school we're headed to right now. So that means it's just a matter of mixing and matching if we've seen everything important. We head for the school without stopping elsewhere. Since it's still 7 o'clock, there aren't many others on the road. Other than us, you can see a few others heading to their morning practices. See you have fun at your club. I part with Sakura at the school gate like usual. Sakura's in the archery club, so we have to park here in the mornings. Oh, and she feels bad because she wants me to go to the club because it was my club too. Right. Today Sakura doesn't go. Sakura, you're not feeling well? No, that's not it, but would you like to come to the Yeah, I am. No, I have no business there. Anyway, Issei asked for me, so I have to go to the student council room. I see. Sorry for troubling you then. It's a big dodge, especially we know that he should be part of the club. I've no business there. None at all. It's all about business. You can't just go there for some pleasure. But you have responsibilities with Issei. Just, ignore the things you want to do with things that you need to do because you made yourself need to do them. Sakura bows. Question mark? Don't you question mark. You know what she's doing. I'll be going now. Please look forward to dinner tonight. Sakura runs off like she's ashamed of something. You know what she's ashamed of. All those connections I made in the archery club, fuck them. It's awkward to deal with the Shinji situation. I don't want to have to deal with hard truths, so... Ellipses question mark? I wonder what that was all about. You know exactly what it was about. We're still with stupid Shiro. I guess this is, arguably the Fate-only prologue, debatably, and so... Theoretically, we would start back at the actual start of the Grail War. Wonder what that was all about. No. Okay, yeah, and this is when he helps... Right, he helps Issei here. This is our first introduction. Okay. Well, I guess... Is it our first introduction to Issei? No, Rin temporarily met Issei. That's right, because Rin and Shiro had that moment where they met... And Rin would have ran into Issei first, and then they would have crossed in the hall that one time. Right. You there? I am. You're a bit late today, Emiya. So Issei in Pathway 1, the Fate Pathway, didn't have too much of a role. He said that there was something weird going on with, a female at the temple that he had weird feelings for. But it was never fully followed up on. I think he said that. Normally he's like, oh, women, gross, cooties. But there was some woman that ensnared him from the temple. I assume, unless Castor had some disguise that disguised herself as a muggle, I would assume Issei was not talking about Castor herself, so maybe one of the masters we have not met yet, which would be either assassins or casters, who Castor said she killed, but don't know how true that is. So do I think Issei is one of the secret plot twist masters? Have we met everyone? Has every character we've met, been met? Possibly. There's only 2 masters left. I love Rin and Shiro meeting because Rin thinks Shiro is either weird or scary because he looks so natural holding a wrench. Shiro just spazzing out internally seeing Rin. It's like from their initial interaction, you don't think there's much to that relationship. It's weird because you wouldn't think Rin cares much about Shiro based on that interaction. But then when Shiro, goes and almost dies later on, Rin's willing to waste her magical jewels on saving him. And, she acts like it's the Sakura connection, but, it so clearly seems like it was more from the start. So it's interesting. that she acts so casually, even internally, at seeing Shiro. It's only when he's put in danger that, her true feelings awaken, quote unquote. In that sense, again, that's another parallel to Ilya. Sakura, on the other hand, wants his dick from the start, and we don't even know how she would react to him being in danger, because she was out of the freaking visual novel for that whole time whenever Shiro would have been in danger. But must have been studying as Issei looks up from the paper he's reading. I made a prediction, and I think I'm still sticking to this, right? That schoolgirl me gives no fuck about Emiya, but actual me. Yeah, I think it seems likely that Kuzuki is a master, because he just served literally no purpose, and yet he gets a portrait and everything here. He could have a more important role, but I don't see what important role he could play. He's just some whatever who gives a fuck teacher, right? Like, Issei is my actual friend who I hang out with. I don't know. Like, because Issei is a friend that Shiro will sometimes hang out with, so he doesn't have to be a master. Fujimura is important enough that she doesn't have to be a master. Aiko, I'd say, serves an important enough role that she doesn't have to be a master. But, like, Kuzuki, like, Rin doesn't have much of a reason to interact with him. Shiro doesn't have much of a reason to interact with him. I feel like I don't see a role in the narrative for him if he is not a master. So that's why it just seems like such an easy shoo-in for him to be one of the missing masters. Maybe there's a twist on that, and he's not, and something in one of the later playthroughs will have an important role for him that doesn't relate to him being a master. That would pleasantly surprise me, because I can't think of what it would be, but, yeah, none of the main cast have any dynamic with Kuzuki, so it's weird that he gets a named portrait when some of the three, like, friends, the three whoever girls, there's, like, the three whoever girls that hang out sometimes, they don't have portraits, but this guy, they went away, they give him his portrait, so... he must have been studying, as Issei looks up from the paper he's reading. Just you, Issei? Where are the others? Shouldn't they be here now as well? What others? Does Gil have a portrait? He should, right? Oh no, I don't see a portrait on Gil. Caster, Berserker, Rider... That's weird that Gil doesn't get a portrait. I guess the reason he doesn't is because it's like a plot twist, right? Because when you first meet him... Why doesn't he have a portrait? Hold on, I want to check something. Or wait, do they not let... Why doesn't Gil have a portrait? Does he just not get one because, like, you meet him... Because isn't that part where, isn't there that part in, is this right? Am I remembering this correctly? Because you don't meet, yeah, you don't meet, Gil for the first time until just after the whole, caster thing. But there's also... No, because... I don't know if I'm remembering this right or not. I want to check something. A couple things, actually. Gil portrait? This leads me to a question. If this question has a specific answer... Right, Rin meets Gil real early. That's what I wanted to check. I didn't remember. Right. That was Gil early on, who was talking with Sakura. At the time, I don't think I realized it was Gil when I was watching it the first time. I don't think I ever realized that it was supposed to be Gil. No, I definitely didn't realize it. I was just thinking about that just now of, like, I think that was Gil now, but I don't know if I've ever brought up that I thought that was Gil. Probably at some point I did, but there's something I would like to check. If I load... I don't know if I can do this on the UBW executable. No, I can't really load... Okay, I might check this in a little bit later then. Because here's my thinking right now is maybe Gil does get a portrait, but only in the Fate path. And he doesn't get one in the UBW path because he never shows up and is killed off screen? My mind goes there for a second. I almost don't want to check to confirm that, because it's really weird that he alone is missing a portrait. It could just be that they didn't include him because he's like plot twisty, so they don't want to, but they could just give it to you at the end, so it is weird. Let's not check. Could be an interface spoiler. Unfortunately, I remember, or it could just be a glitch. It could just be a glitch where he does show up, but then doesn't show up in your portraits, and he has to show up again later. I don't know. Unfortunately, our members are very busy, like. They have their set work hours, and they don't want to come in early or stay late. The other thing I was going to check was if it was indeed Gil that was talking to Sakura that one time. I might actually go back and check that anyways, just to check the conversation, to remember exactly what was being talked about. I think my mind loosely remembers, but it's vague. And now knowing that it's Gil, I might want to see that scene again. Anyways, they have their set work hours, and they don't want to come in early or stay late. That's why the student council president is doing the routine duties himself, then? Guess his place has its own problems. No, it's the kind of trouble I like. You don't need to pity me. I wasn't pitying you or anything. This isn't not much of a conversation. Is there anything interesting happening in this conversation? I'm kind of just reading it, not thinking about it. I'm still thinking about the Gilgamesh thing. Shouldn't they be here as well? What others? There are no others in this visual novel. They're all just fake others. They don't really exist. It's like hiccups, I think. Hopefully that fixes it. Issei, who is, the scene's just establishing the relationship. What's the point of establishing the relationship? Because the whole Gil thing, Rin seeing Gil early, Gil with Sakura, Gil and Sakura never interact again. At least not in the initial playthrough. So I am a little curious now that I know that that's Gil, what that conversation was. I don't know. I'll hold off. That makes me think even more that it would be weird if, Gil gets killed off screen in this playthrough. Because, like, I feel... Oh, Shiro and Issei. Oh, I'm still on the Gil scene. Like, what's the point of establishing the relationship between Gil and Sakura? They never fucking interact again. So it would be weird if he does die off screen in this playthrough because of his portrait not showing up. Because, I don't know, I guess this playthrough could just not be, should theoretically be more playthrough, and in a different playthrough they would interact later, I suppose. Issei, who's organizing the papers he was reading, is the big boss student council. Yeah, I was trying to read into deeper meaning in this scene, but yeah, it really just seems like, their relationship and introducing it. He's the guy trying his best to reform the lax student council, and he's been a friend of mine since his first year. His full name is Ryudo Issei. Despite his old-fashioned name, he has elegant features. He's really popular with girls, but he thinks girls are cooties gross. Although he's a closet likes girls. He just, he has to give off the air of cooties gross. Because he doesn't want to get sucked into the girls because he likes them that much. He's also student council president, so you think he'd take a duck to, He'd take a duck to what? He'd take it, first I'm like, he's getting dunked in the water. What? I like a duck to what? Hot tea is certainly a good way to start a morning. He's just sipping tea like this. He's not that firm. As you can see, Issei has a plain personality. We can also see your personality, Shiro. It's easily misunderstood. I mean, Shiro, you're one to talk about being easily misunderstood. He doesn't involve himself in love affairs nor engage in normal student recreations. It's because he's successor of the Rito Temple up in the mountains. He's fine with that idea, so there's a good chance he'll shave his head when he graduates. What am I doing today? Well, I'd like to sit down and take a rest. Right, so bring usual tools and follow me. School's budget is completely unbalanced. I know the athletics clubs are favored, so other clubs don't get much, right? Yeah. Right, as a result, members of our other clubs are in trouble. Working hard to make the budget go to them, but I'm having trouble because it's not clear where the mother is going. Plain personality, no student recreation or love. Misunderstood. I don't know if Shira's personality's plain, but I guess it could be looked at like that. No love. Yeah, he doesn't think he deserves it. That's fair. Different reasons. It's easier to say it when it's about someone else. No solution, shortage of heaters. Speaking of winter, it's slightly wintertime-ish. It's wintertime where I am. It's cold out. Conductive wires too. I should be. Yesterday especially was crazy cold. Woof. Conductive wire. Is this it? Sorry, I don't know exactly. Oh. Aw, look how embarrassed he gets for not knowing things when he tries to be the responsible type. Probably makes him feel all weird and stuff because he's like, I know everything, and then Shiro comes along who's kind of a stupid, but he's like, but I know this thing that you don't. That's gotta make Issei always feel all shucksores. You're right, so is it about the shortage of heaters? Are there other broken ones? Yes, in the second AV room in the art club, the petitions requesting the new stoves are multiplying. Is someone wasting the heaters? Is there a connection? I don't think so. There's not enough budget to meet the demand. As I thought, it's just getting old, it's not broken on the inside. You think it can be fixed? Old things are nice because they're easy to understand. Newfangled things have more inner workings that make them more complex, and they make them do better things, but are harder to understand. That's understandable to understand from his understanding. Just a shorted connection, so it should last the whole year if we replace that. Ooh. That's a year's decent. A year is decent for something you thought wouldn't do anything anymore. So pleased when you're reliable, which isn't very much, but wording it weirdly, Issei. Finish soon, so could you wait outside for a bit? I'll be out of your way. Leaves the room. Seems he assumes that I'm going to do something delicate. Well, it is delicate, but place my hand on the old electric heater. Usually, even if you're used to fixing things, you can't figure out what's wrong with it just by looking at it. So the fact that I figured it out means what I'm doing is not ordinary. Block off my fiction and look inside the heater with my sense of touch. In that moment, an image appears in my head. Two places where the wire is about to break. The pipe should last a bit longer. Insulation tape should be enough for the power cord. Good, I can fix this with the tools I have with me. If the pipe were broken, it couldn't be fixed by an amateur. If that had been the case, it would have. I would have to strengthen it with a very unamateurish way. But in this case, just looking at it will suffice. This is magic mumbo jumbo. Does this mean much? How often is the trace? I guess the trace leads into the whole, sword birth thing to an extent. It's just weird how he's like, I can't do any spells. Oh, but I can do this. It doesn't count as a spell. Just kind of weird in that sense. This is the magic Emiyashiro learned from. And it's weird that you learned it from Kiritsu, because I remember him doing much trace magic. He did the gun bang bang magic. Alright, let's begin. Take the cover off and start to work. I already know where it's broken, so the rest is easy. They never said in the first timeline that Ilia's daddy dad was Kiritsugu, did they? Like, there was some funny, like, haha, when Ilia and Shiro talked to each other about their daddy dad. And Ilia obviously knows that the Shiro has the same daddy dad, but I don't think Ilia ever mentioned the daddy dad connection. So we've got to have some more daddy dad talk, which excites me. The prospect of more important Ilia-ness, because I want Ilia, because I like her. I know it's broken, so the rest is easy. This is the only thing I'm good at. That's right, Emiyashiro has no talent for magic. Because we know that, we did learn in the first timeline that Shiro's dad participated in the original Grail War. And we learned that he was kind of bad back in the day. He wasn't the nicest dude. And he fought against Kirei. We learned that. But we never really learned about the Ilia connection. You could probably assume it at this point. The way Ilia just seemed to have a hard-on against Shiro. I mean, otherwise, you could assume that she just has a creepy liking for Shiro that she develops very early on after meeting him. But no, because their initial interaction, Ilia seems to know exactly who Shiro is. So I feel like you would have to assume by now something is going on. I would assume you'd have to assume such. I mean, Shiro has no talent for magic. From all my LPers I've watched, no one caught on that connection in the Fate route. I feel like I would have just like how I'm sure something's going on with Sakura. I would have been sure there was some connection between Ilya and Shiro. Maybe I wouldn't have called the explicit father thing, although I might have. There was some alludings to it for sure. One LPer assumed she was a childhood friend Shiro forgot. I can see that, but the fact that they never address it by the end of the pathway, it'd be really weird. Because, like, you'd think Ilya at some point would be like, how the fuck do you not remember me, Shiro? What the heck? And the fact that she never goes on that tirade tells me that, you know, that's not really what it's about. The fact that she's able to accept Shiro without even ever being like, hey, Shiro, we used to be friends, would seem weird to me. Plenty of people knew there was a connection. No one thought of the Kiritsugu connection. Yeah, the fact that there's a connection to me seems like a given. At this point, it's weird to think, what would I have thought if I didn't know? But I think that knowing that there's a connection seems like pretty clear, I would think. Knowing the Kiritsugu connection might be a little bit of a reach, but because I'm going into this knowing it, I'm seeing all the, like, oh yeah, this makes sense because of the Kiritsugu connection. So I could possibly reverse engineer it, possibly. It's hard to say what I would or wouldn't predict. I feel that if I saw the scene that, you know, doesn't give you the saber point, but gives you an extra scene with Ilya, which I always would have seen because I like Ilya. The way that she just flips on a dime, the way that she at first seems to hate Shiro with a passion, and then flips on a dime, and the way that they talk to each other about their father, I think it's possible I could have made the prediction, because she flips on a dime, which suggests that maybe, and because Shiro doesn't seem to know who the fuck this person is, it suggests maybe she has some aggression against a relative of Shiro who, like, you know, it's the, oh, I hate your father, but you're not your father thing, that she might have the aggression. I think I probably would have predicted that she had a problem, especially knowing that Kiritsugu was a bad man in the original war. On my first read through, I thought Ilya just had multiple personality disorder. I think knowing that Kiritsugu is a bad man in the original war, knowing that he did some fucked up shit, knowing that Ilya has a prominent family tied to this war, and knowing how she flipped on a dime like that, I think I probably could have predicted that Ilya had some beef with Kiritsugu from the last war. I think I probably would have predicted at least that much. Maybe I wouldn't have jumped to, oh, he was her dad and abandoned her. But, I think I probably could have jumped to Kiritsugu fucked with Ilya or her family in some way in the last war. Like, maybe I would have predicted that Kiritsugu killed Ilya's father in the last war. And now Kiritsugu's dead, so Ilya is out for Shiro. And then after going through a bit of the war, she's like, wait, no, I actually like this person. He's not his father. Although, taking it a step further, that fails a little bit when you think about, especially the scene where Ilya and Shiro are talking to each other about their dad and stuff, and Ilya brings up that. There's definitely an implication there of wanting that connection, and it's weird if the idea is that Shiro's father killed Ilya's father, which you could argue from a certain perspective did happen, but just like how Darth Vader killed Anakin Skywalker, you could argue it's weird that would be the connection, because it makes sense that she flips on a dime, because Shiro is, in a sense, actually her Oni-chan's war, even though, you know, Ilya kind of came first in a way. He was fathering Ilya first. Shiro was still the older one, and so she sort of looks up to him. She was always alone. She never had that brother figure, so she's able to latch onto that. And she's able to go to that because of the father connection. I don't know if I would have queued into that if I didn't have the knowledge in advance. But I think I would have, I want to say I would have definitely queued into, she has beef with Kiritsugu. That's where the preemptive beef is coming from, because Shiro doesn't know who the fuck this person is. And Kiritsugu did bad shit in the last war, and we already know that. I think I would have queued into at least that. I realized why a lot of people didn't realize the father connection. Everyone assumes she's like 12. Right. I don't actually, so the timeline doesn't match. How old even is she? I don't even fucking know. I don't know ages. Cause Shiro is high school age right now, right? They're about the same age. She might be a little younger, but they're about the same age. I guess for someone who hasn't seen Zero, they wouldn't necessarily know. But even in Zero, Elia's not that young, but I guess you wouldn't know that if you haven't seen Zero. I feel like one could assume, even if you don't assume that she is Kiritsugu's daughter, I think the assumption that Kiritsugu fucked up her family or maybe killed her father or something in the last war, I think is a pretty easy assumption to make, I feel. At least from my perspective. Anyways, it's fun to think about these things that I couldn't actually normally predict, but it's fun to think if I could have predicted. Emiya Shiro has no talent for magic. Personally, I look at Ilia and I think she could easily be the same age as Shiro. They could even say that she's older if they really wanted to go that route. I believe she is younger, but I don't think it's that weird to look at Ilia and think, when I saw Ilia in this game for the first time, I'm like, yeah, that looks right. That looks right for her aged up form. Didn't seem that weird to me. Emiya Shiro has no talent for magic. It doesn't make, though it doesn't make up for it, I think I'm quite skilled at visualizing structures like I did just now. In fact, when I first figured out a structure and reproduced it, my father looked surprised and said, what a useless ability. Oh yeah, that's right. Kiritsugu didn't teach you this, you just fucking came up with it. Though it doesn't make up for it, I think I'm quite skilled at visualizing structures. In fact, when I first figured out a structure and reproduced it, my father looked surprised and said, what a useless ability. It wasn't from Kiritsugu, Shiro has just always had it. Interesting. Does that suggest some, even though he sucks at magic, he's good at that, and that leads into sword birth? Does that suggest the inner spirit of awesome? Maybe. Kiritsugu stunts his growth. What a shit ability, don't train that. It turned out amazing eventually. Guess my strong point isn't a useful ability. Oh. According to my father, it's already a waste of effort to perceive the structure with my eyes. For a real magus, there's no need to understand every corner of a structure like I just did. But it's useful if you're able to cheat and do sword birth, which you can somehow do even though you shouldn't be able to. But theoretically, because you can, it's useful. It's like speedrunning, a tool-assisted speedrun. It's like, if I was able to do these tool-assisted, if I could press the control stick in every direction simultaneously, which you could do if you're a tool-assisted speedrun, then it would be useful to know insert speedrun truck here. But it's only doable if I can push the control stick in every direction, so knowing how to do this trick that requires the control stick in every direction is useless because I'm not a tool-assisted speedrun. But plot twist, you are a tool-assisted speedrun! That's the plot twist. Shiro is a tool-assisted speedrun. They say the Battle of the Magus comes in raiding the center, the core of things instantaneously, and changing it faster than anything else. That's why reading the structures is a wasted effort, as even if you do understand the structure, all you can do is determine where magical energy can be more easily transmitted. So all in all, it turns out that my strong point is just in fixing things like this. I don't have to open them up to look for damage. If I can quickly search for broken parts and have the skills to repair them, things will be built. It's only the case for simple things that can be fixed with amateur knowledge. Never really had a Magi battle in the Fate route. No, we didn't. Not until the very end with Shiro versus Kirei, which is why I talked about it. It's so weird that we ended the climax, essentially, for Shiro was the first ever real Magi battle. Because we had Shiro versus Shinji for like 5 seconds. And then Shiro punched Shinji in the face, and then Rider showed up, and that was the end of that. Shiro Kirei was a fun fight, but it was the only Magi fight the entire time. On to the next one. Shiro vs. Kirei wasn't even a Magi battle. Well, I mean, it was. They were both. I guess you could say it wasn't in that Shiro was not a proper magi. Is that what you mean? I mean, it was close enough. Shiro did some magical stuff. Kirai did magical stuff. What do you want from a magi battle? On to the next one. I pack away the conducting wire that I used and go into the hallway with screwdriver and wrench in hand. Issei, the repairs are done. But in the hallway is someone else apart from Issei. A Grail. Hormones! I'm a bit surprised. The person talking to Issei is Tosaka Rin from Class 2A. She's a lady who lives in a big mansion on top of the hill. A perfect honor student. Ooh. Good looking. Ooh, good looking. Smart, athletic. That's right. That's right. Because he really likes Rin until Rin starts to get to, like, he starts to get to know the real Rin. And then he's like, okay, I don't like the Rin. Never mind. I don't like Rin. She's gross. Like, he likes the perfect fake image of her. Probably because he tries to maintain this fake image of himself. And when she lets down the fake image and shows the real self, even though that should be a compliment, shows she's more comfortable around you, that she's willing to show you her real self, he takes it as, oh, she's showing me the imperfection. Don't show me the imperfection. It might force me to confront my own imperfection. Which, I mean, he knows that he's bad, but he doesn't know just how bad, or he doesn't want to know how bad he is. So, seeing imperfections in the other people, he'd prefer to keep her as that perfect image of someone to fawn over, only to be like, there's that aspect. Good-looking, smart, athletic, and faultless. She's intelligent, well-mannered, and modest about her looks. Really talking him up. UBW Shiro says later, I still like your real self. Yeah, I probably would have said at the time that implies that he's gotten to know her real self for a while. Because if he only knows a little bit of her, or that he's more accepting of his own real self from the other timeline. It really does suggest that there is some timeline fuckery, and Shiro knows subconsciously some of the developments he's already been through. Possibly because, yeah, the Grail is fucking with him. Because he wouldn't have wanted to do it himself after his whole spiel about not wanting to go back in time, unless there's a superpowered evil side inside him that wants it, that is disobeying him, but it makes more sense that the Grail would just do it, but it could be the superpowered evil side. Intelligent, well-mannered, and modest about her looks. People say she's the ideal woman. People say it more like you say it. Hardly needs to be said, the guys at my school treat her like an idol. And she does that on purpose, even though she has a real self that's a little more grimy. She doesn't show that because she wants to keep the image, because I think it's important for Tosaka's to be always perfect, even when Tosaka doesn't like being perfect and wants to be a normal girl, but doesn't let herself do it because she thinks, you know, father's honor, father died, I have to do it, even though I fucking hate it, which puts her in, you know, that gross cycle. In Tosaka's case, and she never really got out of it, from what I could tell. Like, she came closer to Shiro and became happier because of it, and became closer to maybe Ilya and stuff. But she never necessarily, like, fully got past the angst, and we definitely never learned in the first timeline that, Kirai killed her daddy-dad. So we definitely have some daddy-dad issues that still need to be discussed. In Tosaka's case, she's so perfect that she's considered unreachable. Rin never really broke away from her family name. Like, she got more friends, and that's nice for her, but it never felt like... It was just weird. That's what was really weird, is that it felt like, what's she even going to do after the war? And then the war ends, and she's so casual about it. It feels like, if anything... I think I remember thinking about this. She just gave up on even trying. Yeah. The family name thing, it seemed like even though the war ended, she was okay to just kind of keep going because of the Shiro in her life. Yeah, I think that's what I ended up thinking, as a weird conclusion for Rin's character, is that we never actually helped Rin achieve this internal peace or anything, and yet she seemed, at least on some level, to do it herself. Yeah, because I remember thinking it'd be weird that after the war she seems so okay, unless inside she's torn up and we just don't learn about it. Because it feels like if she did get past that, just because of her connection to Shiro, without Shiro needing to prod purposely, then what is the point of Shiro prodding purposely, if there is a route that we prod purposely? Or it'd feel less meaningful if she does it without him. So that says to me there should be still some more traumatic, fucked up stuff we just don't know. Just use Shiro as an anchor after the war. Yeah, she was Shiro as an anchor, but wasn't fully fulfilled. She was just had that Shiro anchor, I guess that's fair, is that she wasn't properly fixed, but the Shiro thing helped her pretend to herself that she was fixed enough. But still, she's broken enough that in another timeline we can help fix her. That makes sense, I suppose. It's commonly believed that only teachers and guys like Issei can even talk to her. Even though Issei thinks Ukuris. I guess because he thinks Ukuris, that's why he can talk to her. To be honest, I'm a guy too. Are you? Are you sure? I wonder if Tosaka Rin's admirers. Ellipses. Tosaka looks at this as if she's in a bad mood. It seems to be true that she and Issei don't get along. So I am the one who asked for help, but it seems like you're doing all the work for me. Wow. Amazing man, talking like that and ignoring Tosaka. So where's next? There's not much time left. AV room is next. It seems it's been working badly for a while, and now it's finally died. Can't be fixed if it's dead. Yeah, don't that be the case. Like, even though buying new things is expensive, usually it's, a lot of the time, depending on how seriously injured, it's cheaper to buy a new thing than buy the fucking repairs. It's like, what's even the point of the repairs? But, and what's worse than that is that they're generally designed like that on purpose. They're designed, most electronics are designed to fuck up after a certain point in time. Appliances die when they're killed. I know, I've seen the meme firsthand now. But, yeah, it sucks, but appliances, like, stuff like, for example, infinite use light bulbs that will never run out, those have been created already. They just are not used because the people that created them, like, everybody agreed, this would fuck the economy. We should just keep selling light bulbs that fucking die eventually. And that's how, like, most every appliance is they're like, this will die at this point in time, and this person will be forced to buy a new one, which will continue the economy of creating these things. Whereas if we have infinite use, or we try to last the use as long as they can, then that will fuck the economy of creating them, and it will lose jobs of creating them because people will have to do something else, because we have as many, if they last much longer or even infinite, we don't need new ones, or we need them far less. And so it makes sense, but it's funny to think of. It'd be quicker to buy a new one. True, but it'd help if you could take a look at it. I might be dead to my eyes, but only faking it to yours. I see, well, let's take a look. Only about 30 minutes left until homeroom. I'll have to hurry if I'm gonna fix it. I start for the AV room with Issei, but it's impolite to ignore her completely when we've met like this. I turn back to Tosaka, who's standing in a daze. Because she's thinking about how hot you are? No, she wasn't thinking much of him. She just thought, who's this scrub? You're up early, Tosaka. Yeah, that's such an awkward line. It's a way for him to get out something. I suppose it's not wrong. Tosaka typically isn't here early. He thinks it's some line of conversation that he can get in, because he really does like this perfect version of her, as long as he gets to think that it's a perfect version. Of course, no one's really that perfect. Is that why he tries to go for the in there? Because he actually likes the perfect version? And he's trying to get a real in? It does seem like an out-of-place line. I make an honest comment, then follow Issei. I guess Shiro is blunt, but the fact that he goes out of his way to say it is what's weird. You think he would just go on and not say anything. He's not acting all nervous on the inside, but his subconscious is already able to lie to itself with stuff like ignoring hard truths and stuff, so... Hard to say. It is an out-of-place line when I look at it, the more I think about it. Like, Tosaka's perspective is correct. Was that supposed to be a greeting, written in the prologue? Yeah, it is a very weird placed line. Even when you look at Shiro's perspective, it's not even like he's saying to himself, oh, this is my chance, I can actually speak to Tosaka. Even though he went through that whole thing about how, oh, it's hard to stand up to Tosaka, or, you know, to even approach her level. This is him approaching her level, and not even thinking anything of it. It's an interesting placed line. It shows if it doesn't show that there's some secret crazy like there, it at least shows that, I guess it could just further show the bluntness of not caring. But he acts like he cares in his inner monologue, or he wants to care. He wants her to be that perfect, but he lets that slip for a second because he knows that nobody really is. So it doesn't matter. And her being that perfect is a lie, and he already knows it. Possibly. We barely made it. Thank you, Emmy. I caused you trouble again. I'd be a failure if I made you like doing things for me. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal because it'd be for you too. Indeed. Well, I'm glad we made it. You say you had to see it relieved. Here's the actual reaction of Shiro. How can I put it? I just think it's hard to tell whether a guy who looks at home holding a wrench is useful or scary. Looks at home holding a wrench. You'd think useful. I guess the idea of scary is that... Maybe it's scary to her because she never would look at home with a wrench because, well, from her perspective, he's not even a magic person at this point. He's just a person. And so a magic person would never bother with the whole wrench and thing because they have the magic instead? Maybe. Well, the magic is hard, so isn't the whole thing is that, no, you would use the wrench and stuff to fix stuff because magic is just wasteful on energy. She had that whole spiel about how modern advances have made magic superannuated to an extent, so the scary part is interesting. Scary because it's real easy to kill a person with a wrench. I mean, it's easy to kill a person with lots of things if you know what you're doing. Does that mean it's also scary to see someone who looks at home holding a fork and knife? Oh. Exactly 8 o'clock. First homeroom bell is rung. Fujine should be here in about 5 minutes. Phew. I'm a bit out of breath since we ran here from the AV room. Taking a deep breath, I head to my seat. So noisy in the mornings, Emiya. I was wondering what you've been doing since... Is this the voice I gave him? Forks scare me. What about, comedy? This is time to talk to our best friend in the world, one Shinji Mato. Or Mato Shinji, depending. Oh, we have to fuck this dude before the comedy. Before we fuck him, that'll be comedy. Yeah. Oh, the comedy you mean Taiga, right, of course. So noisy in the morning. Is this the voice I gave him? I guess it is. It's just weird. I just jumped straight into this voice, but I think I remember it being different. I don't know. Noisy in the mornings, I mean, I was wondering what you were doing since quitting the club, but all you've been doing is helping out Ryudo. It's not my concern, but don't do anything to bring the club into disrepute, okay? You're pretty uncommitted after all. Spoons are especially terrifying. Spoons it is. Definitely harder to kill with a spoon than it is a fork or knife, but that's possible. Anything's possible. Mato Shinji, a friend of mine from middle school, is standing in front of my seat. As you can tell, I mean, you said time for comedy and you were talking about Taiga, but as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty fucking comedy too. You can tell from his last name, he's not morally the worst. I don't know, he's pretty up there. I guess Kira's kind of fucked up, but I mean, I don't know, he's pretty morally fucked because he's so okay with just, like, riding the school. He does have a punchable face. I think he's arguably up there in terms of being one of the morally worst. I mean, he's pretty up there as far as I can tell. Like, yeah, he's cowardice, but it's, like, he's so okay with just being such a moral scumbag. I mean, I don't know. I guess the argument there is that Kira is worse. And that's probably true, but that's probably the only one that's true, I would say. Standing in front of my seat, as you can tell from his last name, he's Sakura's brother, who's 1 year older than her. Is the Archie Club doing well, Shinji? Of course, there's no point in telling an outsider. As when peace with a certain attention hog left, we'll do well in the next competition. Ooh. Kira in the orphanage basement whacked my moral meter. Yeah, I mean, you know. There are certainly levels. Just because there's a big gap between A and B doesn't mean B is not still B. Mitsuzue must be working hard. You're talking rubbish. The archery club is doing well because of me. So nonchalant. Yeah. Like, Shiro just is nonchalant. That's how he is. And yet, Shinji hates it because especially after the PTSD of the past where Shiro fucked him up, Shinji wants Shiro to bow to his level, as it were. Just constantly. Especially because it's Shiro, because he physically fucked him up in the past, probably. 1 year older than her. I say, Archie, of course, there's no point in telling you. Mitsuzuri must be working hard. There's his subtle complimenting of Mitsuzuri and their friendship of the past. I see, I'll be careful. But I won't have any concerns with the archery club since I don't have any business there. Put my bag on the desk and pull up the chair. What's that about? You're saying you're not interested in my archery club? Your archery club. It's like... he wants you to interact with what he's saying, Shiro. But he wants you to praise him when you're doing it. If you're not praising him, but you're interacting, then that's a problem. But if you're not interacting, that's also a problem. I think Shinji is kind of envious of Shiro, even back here. Well, definitely he's envious during the war, because, like, oh, you just get to hang out with Rin all the time. That's great, and, you know, I mean, Shinji is just a jealous type, for sure. But, it's weird for him to be envious of Shiro, but I suppose because... I feel like the fact that, you know, he knows that Shiro is potentially the better archer, and the physical, he wants to one-up Shiro after he got his ass kicked earlier on. He knows that Shiro's so close to Sakura and doesn't like it because he has some weird fucked up relationship with Sakura. Yeah. I said business, not interest. It'd be weird to go there when I'm an outsider, right? But tell me if something comes up. I'll help if there's anything I can help with. You weren't good at fixing the bows and bowstrings, right? Of course, that's what he fucking says. Again, once he interacts, he just puts Shinji down. Which, I mean, even if Shiro's not thinking about it, like, you gotta know, you've had the physical confrontation. You've gotta know he feels like this to some extent. Shiro probably does know and doesn't mind wrestling him. A little bit, but then, like, he internally also says, my good friend, but maybe he's just doing that to keep the, anger issues at bay. Shinji thinks Shiro, doing this on purpose. He is like this normally, but I think there is some level of purposeness, given that we know now that Shiro's smarter than he lets on. He just kind of acts stupid because he doesn't like confronting the hard truths. So this could be, to some level, intentional. Oh, thanks. I'll call you if there's any work to be done. Oh, he does. I don't think that'll happen. He does call him because he changed his mind. He's like, I'll set up a creepy blood circle thing, and that'll attract war attention and maybe get Shiro killed as a result. Because, you know, I don't know if that was Shinji's plan, but probably because he had the blood circle set up. And he probably realized Rin was looking into it. And so he might have been like, if I get Shiro to stay late instead of me, not only will I not have to get caught in the crossfire, but Shiro could. Win-win, which is pretty fucked up. Get the innocent civilian killed in the crossfire. Don't think that'll happen. That's good. You're not Captain Material if you leave work that needs to be done. You don't have to say anything else. Just say you're not Captain Material and that'll piss Shinji off. The rest of what you say doesn't matter. Don't give Fujimura too much trouble. She's scared when you piss her off. Mind your own business. You're an outsider, so keep away from the dojo. Jeez. It's like you want him to interact, but only if you're praising him. And then Shinji at the end of the conversation, and it's like, they clearly interact a decent amount because of their relationship to Sakura, and yet, it seems to be the same song and dance keeps happening, where Shinji wants to one-up Shiro, and Shiro just wants to treat them like they're on the level because of Sakura and not get into anything. But at the same time, you know, internally, he still thinks Shinji, you know, he thinks the past and stuff, so he still says, like, oh, you weren't very good, and, It's just always butting heads every time they ever talk. So the idea that Shiro and Shinji are even friends on any level, I think it really is just Shiro internally reaching to not, as an excuse to not act on Sakura, and as a way to rein in his anger issues because he did deck Shinji in the schnoz at one point in time. He seems even more irritated than usual today. What a guy. How can he talk like that when he's the one who drove you out? Oh, you're here, Issei? What do you mean? You're so cold saying that to a friend who is listening in out of concern. Yeah. Issei is listening out of concern, and he's a friend. I wonder, are you blushing because you said that you're, because he said, are you blushing because you have to bring up you're a friend, or are you blushing because Shiro didn't notice you and maybe you were there the whole time. I guess because Shiro is blunt in that way where he doesn't necessarily pay attention to the surrounding stuff and is always focused on what's in front of him. That's true both literally and metaphorically, where he tries to ignore the Grail War if he doesn't like it. Shiro focuses what's right in front of him because maybe he had to focus to not deck Shinji in the schnoz at every possible opportunity. Why would you do that? I'm not doing anything that should make you worry about me. Or, nope, that's Shiro saying that. The things of having the voices turned off. I'm usually pretty good about it, but... Idiot, of course I'll worry about you. You start to lose your temper easily. Aha. There's the anger. That we don't actually see much for a long time. You know, Issei, like, talks about it here, but we don't really see it manifest for quite some time. And even then, I don't think we ever fully see his supposed anger issues manifest. But, So, there's a debate to be made of, are they real, or is it just from Issei's perspective, based on the interaction with Sakura, which could maybe be more of his dark hero type coming out, where when it comes to saving someone, less than normal anger issues, or the anger issues are very specific to protecting other people. Some people would, full anger never really shows except maybe the Gil fight. People would cheer if you beat Shinji up, but all the girls would condemn you. Why? Why would they like this prick? I don't get it. Well, I guess because I know that maybe the younger girls would like him because he's sweet on them. But wouldn't they realize that he's a bit of a douchebag after a while? I don't know. He seems very unlikable. But again, maybe he's not like that with girls in general. But it just seems like that's such a thing of his personality in general. But maybe it's not when he's... I don't know. I don't think he's smart enough to realize how much of a dick he comes off as. To turn the dick off when he's talking with other people. Because that would make it seem like he's aware of how much of a pompous dick he is. And I feel like if he is, he lets it be. I don't know. It's hard to lose your temper easily. Some people would cheer, but all the girls would condemn you. It's not good to let a friend get in a situation like that. You're right, now that you mention it, thanks, Issei. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I'm grateful for your concern. Yes, well, as long as you understand. But it's strange, you lose your temper easily, but you're tolerant of Mato. It's because of Sakura. Also, temper easer. We never really see that, but... You lose your temper easily. Maybe that... It's interesting that Issei really is making this a point of losing his temper easily. And yet Shiro's theme is rather reserved for the most part. Maybe the idea is that he did have anger issues, but they're more reined in now because of Sakura, and that he was more angry in the past before Sakura came into his life, which does show at least some amount of impact. Maybe at this point, Shiro, even though he's still got the dark truths he's trying to run from, he's not outwardly manifesting them of, oh, I can't hate myself, so I have to hate someone else. So maybe his hate was coming out that way. And then Sakura came into his life, and it made him more mellow? Maybe. So maybe it didn't just have a good impact on Sakura, but a good impact on Shiro? Although Issei seems to be pointing out that it's specifically Mato. But we don't really see him be angry with anyone else, but maybe it's because we don't see enough interactions in the day-to-day life. You're tolerant of Mato. That's just his style. You get used to it if you hang around him for a long time. His style is being a douchebag, so sure, I guess you can get used to it. I see. Yeah, if you understand, go back to your seat. Fujimura-sensei will fly in here any second now. It's more like her to come floating in than flying in. The homeroom bell rings. Homeroom teacher usually come 5 minutes early, but our home teacher isn't like that. For class 2C, homeroom starts 1 minute after the bell rings, right when we hear... I'm late. Yeah. Fujine runs into the classroom. Alright, I made it. Good morning, everyone. And then falls over. Wham! Fujine falls over with a terrible sound. And then crazy music starts. Battle time! The classroom is filled with silence in contrast to the clamor from a second ago. A sudden change of atmosphere. Just as you'd expect from Fujine, her nickname of Human Jet Coaster isn't just for show. But that really was a bad hit. Fujine is still on the ground, having hit her head on the platform. Thought her nickname was like Tiger. She's got a lot of nicknames. Human Jet Coaster. Having hit her head on the platform. You can't see her expression with her head facing the ground, so it gives you a bad mental image. Front row, wake her up. They have to even wake her up. Makes sense. So, like, he probably posts, Carrie death. He shoved his feelings and anger on everyone else. And then after Sakura, he pushed it on back himself. I suppose that's true. Yeah. After Carrie's death. Carrie, for a second, I didn't know who you mean. Kiritsugu, yeah. I suppose that could be a thing where after Kiritsugu's death, the anger... I assumed it was just more an anger thing in general, but Kiritsugu's death definitely could have led him to the anger. Because at the time, he didn't react at all. So maybe it was just a delay reaction of anger management until Sakura showed up. Yeah, maybe. Wake her up. What? I don't want to. I'm scared she'll bite me if I go near her. She's not a mimic or anything. She won't go that far. If you're saying that, why don't you do it? I'll pass. I'm not used to this. Me neither. And why would you make a girl do it? A guy should do it. Also, apparently I'm a girl. A guy should do it. Front row is getting noisy. As we're in the middle rows, we can't tell what sort of state Fujine is in. We can't tell, so we all stand up to look. She's not moving. Has she passed out? Someone asks. If so, the problem would be how to get her to the nurse's office. Everyone here is a warrior who has been with Fujine for the past year. They probably want to get out of the habit of taking their teacher to the nurse's office. Fujimura-sensei, are you alright? A brave female student calls out to her. Fujine doesn't even twitch. A sense of worry runs through the room. That was a bad fall. She hit her head right on the platform. She'd have to be invincible to come out of that without a scratch. How about getting here for our baseball club? That was a... Okay. Don't even joke about that. The day she's in charge of us, we get into the regionals. You don't want that? Wait. Oh, for baseball. Well, she actually is in charge of the archery, and they do pretty good, right? The day she's in charge of us, we'd get into the regionals, and you don't want that. Taiga has the power of comedy relief. Very much so. Very strong comedy. Very good relief. We get into the regionals, which is bad because it means you have to work harder and you don't want that. Fujimura-sensei, it's no good. There's no response. Why don't you wake her up since you're in front of her? What? No way. She's really dead. I'll be killed. By who? Things could get bad later if we leave her like this. No one wants to go near her. I guess it can't be helped. We'll have to do that. Yeah, that. All our hearts became one. Well, not Shinji and I, because we're too scared. Really? I guess, you would be... I don't know if scared is the right word for Shinji. I think you're scared because you live with Taiga, and you already did something to upset her earlier on. Shinji, I don't know if scared is the word, more just doesn't like dealing with her. She's just annoying. Because, you know, she's too much of a tomboy where... he would want all the ladies to look up to him. Probably, in a certain sense, there's a parallel to Shiro, to the extent that I think that they want... Whereas Shiro wants to be the knight in shining armor, Shinji just wants all the girls fawning over him. But they're probably after the same type of girl, which is where a big part of Shinji's jealousy probably comes from. But it also means that this type of girl probably doesn't appeal much to Shinji. I mean, also, she's a teacher, though I don't think that would stop Shinji, to be honest. Yeah. A woman who doesn't lust after me? Ew. Yeah, pretty much. Because we're too scared. Ichi! Ni! Wake up, Tiger! Ah! Wake up is, Wait, don't tell me I know this. And by I know this, I mean I'm looking it up. English to Japanese. Wake up. What? That's not the word. Hold on. Oh, it's sleep that's Nemui then. Sleep? No, it's supposed to be Nemui. Why is there Sumin? What? What is Nem? Okay, Japanese to English. Google Translate's not always the most accurate. Nemui. Sleepy. Oh, it's sleepy versus sleep? Which is different? The action of sleep is different? Huh. And then... wakeful. Is wakeful a word? Mezame. Wake up. Mewo samasu. Really? Mewo samasu? Huh. Wake up, tiger. Mewo samasu Torah. Okay, I already know the Torah thing, but... Anyways. I did not know wake up. I didn't know wake up. Plot twist, I did not know wake up. I knew sleepy was Nemui, but I didn't know wake up. I didn't even know sleep, apparently. So, stretch, I think, actually. It's weird timing, but I'm gonna go ahead and, wait, we gotta go to page 15. Tiger save. Alright, so we're gonna do an intermission. I'm gonna refill my water and do all that stuff, and then I'm gonna come back and continue. So, anyways, 1, 2, wake up, Tiger! Ah! Even though everyone said at the same time, it's only as loud as a whisper. Oh yeah, that's right. This really is a funny scene. It's like one of the funniest funny scenes, except for maybe the Tiger Dojos, given that those are about Taiga as well. I guess it's fitting. It's like the prelude to the Tiger Dojos. Except there's no Ilya. The Tiger part is especially quiet. But still. A Twitch. Yes, that is what I'm streaming on. Thank you for noticing. Oh, speaking of Twitch, it's nice to have a good stretch. That's another reason that it's good to have these intermissions. It's not just to pee, it's not just to refill my water. It's like, it's good to get up and just stretch a bit. The silent Fujine reacts. Fuji, while knocked out, is just experiencing her own Taiga Dojo. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm remembering the one that's the one time where Saber knocks you out. It's not a real Tiger Dojo though, it's just like a dream. And that's like amazing. Oh yeah, so she's just, you know, she's dreaming up the Tiger Dojos that she'll have to give out to Shiro maybe. Silent Fujine reacts. She moved? It's working, everyone! Alright, continue the punishment. Everyone must be stressed for the impending exams. Even though they shouldn't, they repeat Fujine's nickname while waving their arms. Tiger! Tiger! Oh! Or Tiger, I guess. Makes sense. Wake up, Tiger! It's morning! Sensei, you're a tiger if you don't wake up! So that means she's not a tiger if she does wake up. At least that's better than just straight up calling her a tiger, I guess. Don't give up, Tiger! Stand up, Tiger! Okay, now you're just encouraging her to be a tiger. That's conflicting messages. Yeah, wake up, Sensei, then you'll be a true tiger. Well, which is it? Does she not want to be a tiger? One of you was saying that if you wake up, you won't be a tiger. And the other one's be like, if you wake up, you'll be a true tiger. So, like, there's no winning for her if she doesn't want to be a tiger. Tiger! T-I-G-R. No, T-I-G-R. T-I-G-E-R. That spells Tigger. No, it doesn't. T-I-G... No, it's T-I-double-G-R. That spells Tigger. T-I-double-G-R. Ah! Don't call me Tiger! Oh, there's the tiger explosion. A roar of lightning. She stands bravely as if the fall has done nothing at all. Bravely fall, like Bravely Default. I played a little bit of the Bravely Default 2 demo. Never played Bravely Default 1 or Bravely Default 1 2. But I played a little of the Bravely Default 2 demo. I get the idea. The aesthetic, I don't really care for the aesthetic of Bravely Default. I don't know if it's a deal breaker, but I'm definitely not a fan. I get the idea behind the mechanics. But it doesn't necessarily entice me enough to overlook the fact that I don't really like the aesthetics. But, just I'd bring that up. I don't think I've mentioned here, but I love this VA cast. Oh, I do too. The VA cast is really good. The VA cast, even in this scene especially, is really good. I've just, I've been through it before. And so I feel like going through this repeat stuff, it's nice to have the voices off because it's easier for my internal monologue to just flow through, especially from skipping lines. But this scene especially is really well done voiced. I do remember it, and it was good. What are you all doing? You can't step in the middle of homeroom. Come on, sit down and get started. I'm not complaining it. This scene reminds me of the cast. Yeah, because the cast is really good. That's true. Fujine stands before everyone in her usual manner. It seems all memories from the moment she entered the classroom have fled her head. Can't stand up in the middle of homeroom. You also can't, bonk your head and lie down and sleep in the middle of homeroom, but you're still dead. Tiger doesn't remember what happened. Even though she's up, you still prod her. You students are crazy. Look, you're really fortunate this morning. Of course, you had to bring up her name, so now she'll have to remember. I don't know if we call it lucky. Everyone turns to their seats chatting. You still called her Tiger after the fact. Why are you doing that? You're just, you know, what's the term? Risking it for the biscuit. What biscuit, though? You already got the biscuit. She woke up. You're risking it for nothing. Someone just make fun of me. Oh, the tiger. Yeah, she did notice the tiger. No, I didn't. Maybe you imagined it. Alright, good. I'll start homeroom. Listen up. Fujine starts homeroom slowly. She chats in between the announcements, so we don't get through it very fast. Everyone please note the curfew. It's at 6 o'clock. People with club activities shouldn't stay too late either. 6 o'clock's too early, Sensei. Can't the athletic clubs be attempted? Or exempted? Attempted? Can't we attempt to do it? We can, if we try really hard. Can we do it anyways? Can we stay late anyways? Nope. Goto-kun. Oh, Goto. Goto-kun. Oh, who's that? Is that anyone important? No. They have a name, though. That's interesting. Please ditch your teacher as Fujimura-sensei. Alright, I'll be careful. Goto-kun sits down again, not showing any signs of listening to her. How stupid of him. The curfew. No civilians during fights. Oh, yeah. What's the reason for the curfew? I brush past it as if it's nothing, but, huh. Everyone please note the curfew. It's 6 o'clock. People with club activities shouldn't stay too late either. Who's in charge of this school again? Because, like, they're giving out this curfew. Oh, it's because of the gas leaks, right? Because there have been gas problems? That's why. Is that the excuse? What's the excuse? The curfew is due to the murders that they mentioned tomorrow. Oh, right. The murders, not the gas leak. The murders. That's another problematic thing. Sure. It's still a convenient excuse. If it wasn't for such murders, they could very easily, the assumption you could make would be that the principal of the school or something, or people in high positions are in on it with the muggles to make for better magical fights without people interfering. But, I mean, the magical people can probably just work around, to be honest. The curfew was helpful, but the curfew was started in the first place by murderers, which suggests that the higher-ups aren't in on it, because if they were, the muggle deaths might become a problem. It suggests that maybe not that they're in on it, but theoretically, the principal himself, I assume Rin or Kirei is hypnotizing people. I mean, that'd be a big leap, but I suppose there could be that. I mean, if the principal was just having the curfew anyway, that means the principal himself could be a magic man, and he wants to do some magic stuff and not get his school involved, but that's a bit of a giveaway if he actually is one of the masters, in theory. I don't think he is, but I'm just, bringing up random ideas. I guess there could be a general idea of mass hypnosis going on from all the masters, especially Kirei, on, theoretically, as the prompter, as the fair person overlooking the city. He could be doing like a thing where people just think like, we should go home early today. But again, if the excuse comes from the murders, then the murders shouldn't be needed. The murders could happen anyway, but it depends what starts. Goto-kun's the 7th master. Sure. Fujine gets mad when she says she will. It makes no difference that he's a student and she's a teacher. He doesn't realize that she just gave him a final warning. That's it for today's homeroom. Let's meet again in English class in 3rd period, everyone. Fujine leaves, waving her hand. She's the teacher responsible for Class 2C, Fujimura Taiga. Her nickname is Tiger. You might doubt it, but it really is her nickname. People like calling her so since she has a name like Taiga. Yeah. Nickname is Tiger. Yeah. But Fujine herself hates the nickname. According to her, it's unfeminine. I mean, the name Taiga in the first place isn't the most feminine. I mean, but still. But she's that kind of person, so I think it's her own fault she has an unfeminine nickname. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. She's, it's not a problem for someone to be unfeminine, but I mean, you are unfeminine. And then you have this nickname. You can still not like the nickname, but if you specifically don't like it's unfeminine, that's a weird reason to not like it. Maybe that's just an excuse, or maybe she does want to be seen as feminine, but she really isn't the feminine type. Um, and that just drives home even more how unfeminine she is. And it's like, I'll be as unfeminine as I want. Don't you put the unfeminineness on me. Let me be as feminine or unfeminine as I want. You can't be telling me how unfeminine I am. Maybe. Oh yeah, and this guy, the nothing guy who never does anything. We're starting class. We're starting class. Day monitor, the bows. Oh, hold on. Hold on, real quick. If I don't even know if he says anything else in this scene, but if he does, I want to hear it. I just want to hear this guy's voice again. Because, he never fucking shows up. The teacher for the first period enters as Fujine exits. It's like this every morning as Fujine continues homeroom until the very last minute. Is that it? Is that his only line? His only fucking line, wasn't it? And the class end like every other day. There are many kinds of students. Ones that go to clubs, ones that hurry home, ones that stay in the classroom for no reason. Looks like I won't be any of those categories.
すまない。ちょっといいか、エミヤ。今朝の続きなんだが、今日は時間あるか。
Yep. Shiro doesn't even mention his name. I don't think he even speaks again. It's done. His interaction was over. He had one line, and I missed the chance. Alright, turn him back up. What about the rest of the pairs? Do you have time today? The teacher. I do have plans. Demo sa. It's not like I'm just playing around. I mean, you kind of are, even if you tell yourself you aren't. After all, the main reason I quit the Archie Club is because I wanted to prioritize work. Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, that's fair then. That's a fair point. It's already been 5 years since Father died. 3 years. Wait, yeah, 3, because he lived 7, not 5. Wasn't that the joke I was memeing? I don't know. I decided to start working to pay my living expenses. If you work a lot, there are some jobs you just can't refuse. Today's an example. They're restocking inventory at work, and they asked me to come if I can, as any help is appreciated. You could say no to this. Saying yes definitely is a very helpful work opportunity, and they'll like it if you say yes. You could still say no, I would say. I mean, if you say no every single time, that's fine, but, don't expect to move up the ranks. You shouldn't be fired for saying no every time, though. That's, like, abuse of power, I would argue. If you're like, stay extra now and such. That shouldn't, be, like, if you're staying the required amount, that should be all that's needed to continue doing the job so long as you're actually doing the job well. If you don't do overtime and they fire you for that because you don't help in, certain existential circumstances, then that is, I believe, an abuse of power, and you can, like, do some kind of legal action. But it's fine for them to not, give you any kind of raises or, anything like that, or give you any leeway in other cases if you don't help. And I think there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but any help is appreciated. But it's certainly not something I have to go to. They're probably just having people come in because they want a party after work. That's great too. You get to have a party, which means you get to know the employers a bit more personally, so they'll get more attached to you and not want to quit you, which means you get to start being a little more lazy in your work and they won't want to fire you because you're fun to have around. Is that the plan? That's a bad plan, actually. If you start becoming lazy because of that, they could just fire you and be like, hey, you want to hang out still? Sure, but if you're shit at work, you're shit at work. Dash dash dash. There are two options. Oh, fuck. I chose work, right? Because I learned about Neko-chan. Real best girl. Yeah, I believe last time I chose work, because I did think, hey, why not help out? And also maybe meet new characters. Yeah, Neko-chan, the actual best waifu final boss. She's the best waifu and she's the final boss. It's great. It's the golden route. We have to fight Neko, and then afterwards we make babies. Yeah, last time I went to work, and I vaguely remember that scene, because Neko-chan leaves an impact. So I will go out and help the student council. Okay, the importance, actually... Neko-chan's such a good character. I believe the importance of that scene is that as I'm walking my way home from working, I have the stare down with Rin, right? When she's looking from the rooftop with Archer. But shouldn't that happen anyway? Because... Or is this too soon for that? That should happen anyway because it happens... It's predestined to happen in Rin's prologue. So it should happen either choice. So what's the significance of that choice if that wasn't the significance? If I'm even thinking correctly, this might be too early for that. Did the Rin stare down happen in day 2? Maybe. Yeah, because it feels like it's too early. I don't think Archer's been summoned yet. Because I think Archer was summoned at the end of the first day, and this is still the first day. Yeah, that sounds correct. So I don't remember what the significant... Like, I know that we got, like, Neko-chan and stuff, but those characters, joking aside, is not significant. They don't do anything to the plot. I don't remember what the importance of that scene is. So part of me wants to check it again to see... Like, I'm gonna do the help the student council, but I almost want to go back and check the go to work thing, because I don't remember what even significant happens in that scene. Maybe it's the fallout from that scene that's different. But I don't really remember the fallout, because my memory beyond the Neko part is pretty insignificant. I don't know. I'll go out and help the student council. They only mention how Shiro works a lot, reinforcing subtext. If you could just... Okay, it's just a subtext thing. It reinforces that, and it's red herrings of these other people that might be important later, but aren't, at least not in the first timeline. They mention Shiro works a lot, yeah, to avoid the hard truths, so he doesn't have the free time to think of wasting on the thing that he wants to avoid because it would lead to a hard truth. I'll go and help the student council, which is still working. It's a different work though, so maybe it's just the same subtext but with a different thing. But does that mean we just never meet Neko-chan though? Because it's definitely the wrong. This is definitely the objectively wrong choice if we don't meet Neko-chan. When do we meet Ilya? Oh, maybe that's the change. Maybe we meet Ilya after coming home from work. Maybe by going to the student council we don't meet Ilya initially, because that changes things big time. If we don't meet Ilya beforehand, then it could just be that when Ilya finds us the first time and fights us with Berserker, it could just be, oh, magic battle. But the fact that she meets us initially before the Grail War actually starts actually adds a lot of potential subtext clues, because the ominous warning she gives us suggests a lot about having a previous connection with us already. So that's that's pretty huge if that is the difference. It's something I've started. I should finish the job I began this morning. Right, I should turn the voices on because this is new stuff. I'll change my plans. We're finishing the job from this morning, right? Let's finish the repairs before the exam starts. What does he say about this? The restocking at work. 5 years, yeah. If you do a lot, probably, yeah. But they're probably having a party. The party's Neko-chan, so it makes it such a good party. Let's finish the repairs before the exams start.
助かる。それでは美術部の患者を見に行くとするか。
Thank you. Let's go look at the patient? Oh, right. You could call it a patient, I guess. Let's go look at the patient in the art club then.
はいよ。と、人払いはちゃんとしてくれよ。人目があると集中できない。
Clever. That is kind of clever, but I mean, it's so blunt, though. Alright. Oh, and clear the people out of the room, will you? I can't concentrate with people watching me. More like I can't be doing magic stuff with muggles watching me. But...
無論だ。他の連中に邪魔はさせぬ。
Of course, I won't let them get in your way. Issei quickly walks to the hallway, and I follow him out of the classroom in a hurry. Interesting from Issei's perspective. Like, shooing them out so that he can do his work isn't, is fine from Issei's perspective, I think. But Shiro probably normally doesn't care about, needing alone time to concentrate, but then again, given that this is a very special thing he's doing, I suppose you could buy that someone who normally doesn't necessarily need alone time would need it for something like this, because it's a very specific thing. I suppose it's not that far-fetched, but from Issei's perspective, might he think there's something weird going on with Shiro that needs alone time specifically for this, where otherwise he probably doesn't really care as much about alone time concentration? I guess for this specifically, but it would be thought of as definitely a quirk, I would think, from Issei's perspective. And it would definitely have to be a quirk that Issei knows a pattern of, because Shiro would need to do it all the time to not let muggles see. Wrong throat. Anyways, fall out of the classroom quickly in a hurry. Oh, we just skipped the whole scene? Sun's already set when we leave the school building. Sure. The school gates are already closed. Do we get to hang out with Issei more? Maybe it's run into Ilia versus hang out with Issei. Maybe it's run into Ilia alone versus run into Ilia with Issei, which changes that dynamic a bit? Scoots are already closed. It's 7 o'clock and way past curfew, but thanks to Issei, we're not in trouble. Issei's got those strings he can pull with the higher-ups. Oh, it's past curfew.
いや、今日は助かった。必ずこの礼はするから。何かあったら遠慮なく言ってくれ。
You helped me a lot today. I'll certainly make up for it, so tell me if you need anything. It's past curfew, so we probably still would run into Ilia walking home, because remember we ran into the first time late at night. After work, like, Shiro was thinking about the work, right? And this was like, I ended up having to stay late past curfew. So I feel like it's leading to the Ilia thing regardless, which makes me think what the substantial difference of the choices. The substantial difference is we never fucking meet Neko-chan. Unless we can waifu Issei, I don't see the substantial difference in terms of the two, but tell me if you need anything.
そうだな。なんかあったら言うよ。まあ、とりわけ何もないとは思うけど。
I'll let you know if something comes up. I don't think anything will, though. I didn't help him get something in return, so there's nothing I want from Issei. To get something in return. Yes, waifu Issei. Let you know if something comes up. I don't think anything will, though. Helped me a lot today. I'll certainly make up for it. Tell me if you need anything. He doesn't want anything in return because he's the hero. Or the things he wants are rooted in his deep subconscious, or he's not allowed to want something because he's a bad person. Which are one and the same, arguably. But I didn't help him to get something in return. There's nothing I want from him. On one hand, you could say, oh, that's the hero's mindset. But on the other hand, it's also like, I don't deserve him to give me good things. I deserve nothing.
まったく人が良いのも考えものだな。エミヤがいてくれると助かるが、他の連中にいいように使われるのは我慢ならん。人助けはいいことだが、もう少し相手を選ぶべきではないか。エミヤの場合、来る人拒まずすぎる。
Geez, I guess it is a problem to be too good a person. It's helpful to have you around, but I can't stand it when other people use you to their liking. Helping others is a good thing, but you should be more picky with who you help. You just help anyone who comes to ask you. I feel like I heard him say something like this already, but this is a choice I didn't go down. Interesting. He probably said something like this at some other point during the pathway, maybe not exactly like this. It's just interesting. This sounds familiar. I feel like he's illuminated this to Shiro in another time, but maybe not. I don't know. It's something similar, at least. You just help anyone who comes to ask you.
そんなに節操ないか、俺。
Am I that indiscriminate?
これでは心ないバカどもがいいように利用しようというものだわ。エミヤも忙しい身なのだから、たまには他人の頼みなど断ってもよかろう。
Yes, and that's just gonna let heartless idiots. Oh shit! Wait! I don't know if he did say this later, but like, this is saying this much earlier and before Shinji does the bullshit thing. He's the heartless idiot in this equation. Does this affect that at all? It can't. That's too important. But he's already highlighting it before it happens, which just makes Shiro stupider. in this version for saying yes. And that's just going to let heartless idiots use you as they wish. You're a busy man, so it should be okay for you to decline from time to time. Yes, in other words, wink wink nudge nudge, decline Shinji's stupid ass when he asks you to do this stupid thing, and you don't end up declining it. Heartless idiots use you as you wish. That's very good advice. And, you know, I think advice worth giving, given that he does say yes to Shinji that one time. Even if you're not busy, you should be allowed to decline if you want. It's your life. Do what you want. Dash. I can't really tell, but it seems like Issei's worried about me. Properly. You would have died if, you know, Shinji... If you didn't have your blood magic because of Shinji saying, do the thing. I think this not affecting anything and reinforces shows that Shiro knows about shit but denies it. Unless it does change everything. Yeah. It could change everything. It's not impossible. Yeah, the fact that it doesn't change anything does suggest that he hears it, but it's like, he doesn't take it to heart. Or rather, yeah. Can't really tell, but it seems like Issei's worried about me. I've been called helpful since I was in middle school, as I don't turn down requests for help, and don't ask for anything in return. I'm trying to fill that void because of the fire, how he doesn't think he deserved to live, so he's like helping as much as he can to use this life that he never should have been given, yeah. But that's why, even though he's saying you're right, he's not really meaning you're right, because he doesn't think he's actually right. He thinks his life isn't worth much, and he should be repaying the debt that, you know, he was saved from the father as much as possible. Even when douchebags ask, he's like, well, that's still, you know, douchebag's probably still worth more than my worth. Yeah. Middle school, so post Kiritsugu deaths, he's only second year high school. I've been called helpful since I was in middle school. Ooh, so that means before middle school, maybe not as much? So specifically since Kiritsugu's death, that he's been like this. I guess because he's trying to fill that hole with Kiritsugu gone, it makes him more confused about the direction, so he just helps as much as possible. Be like, this is what Kiritsugu would want, right? I have to follow his dream, because he did say as Kiritsugu's passing on that I'll do the dream for you. So maybe this is him also trying to do the dream that he told Kiritsugu that he would do. And so he's helping as much as possible, aimlessly even, and it sort of seeds also into the idea that he doesn't think he deserves to live or whatever, but it also is the wish of Kiritsugu, so it's like a double thing playing into it. But it makes sense that it's reinforced when Kiritsugu dies specifically. I guess Issei thinks that's dangerous. But I'm doing it because I want to. It's not a problem, as I decline things that I think are beyond me. You decline things you think are beyond you because, you know, facing hard truths. But you don't decline things that you just shouldn't need to bother with if they aren't beyond you. Fear of Justice Dream may just be the result of his dead father's last wish pushing him on, and punishing him on, in a way.
それは一星がするような心配じゃない。自分のことは自分が一番わかってるさ。それに人助けは善行だろ。寺の息子が咎めるようなことじゃあるまい。
It's nothing for you to worry about, Issei. I know myself better than anyone. Maybe right now you do because no one's prying that hard, but Saber starts to learn you pretty well. Besides, helping people is a good thing. Sure, if the motives are correct. I guess helping people is always a good thing, but the motives being correct is important for reasons and occasions, for the aftermath sometimes. It's not something a son of the owner of a temple should be trying to stop. What does the temple have to do with anything?
しかしな、エミヤのは度が過ぎるというか、このまま行くと潰れるというか。
Knowing himself better than anyone, I think the fact that he's not really wrong is what's so sad about it. I don't know if I'd even laugh at that line, because I don't think anyone's pried enough at this point to know him better than him, even though he himself maybe doesn't know himself the best. I think you're going so far that it might eventually overwhelm you.
忠告は受け取っとく。それじゃあまた明日、学校でな。
I'll take your warning. See you tomorrow then. You'll take it, and you'll do nothing with it.
それではまた明日。
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. Issei leaves looking disconnected. Issei's house, Ryudo Temple, is up in the mountains, so naturally our routes go in different directions. Now what? A white girl. So we still run into Ilya. I walk through the moonlight town. Time is around 7:30. Turn the voice off. As much as I like Ilya, it is, you know, repeated. I think so far Issei and Ayako know Shiro is fucked. Not exactly why and how deep. Okay, you know what? Maybe Ayako knows Shiro better than Shiro. If I had to say anyone that knows Shiro better than Shiro, it's probably Ayako based on what I've seen of their interactions. Ayako seems to know Shiro very well. Issei, I don't know his pride as deep as Ayako, I would say. Time is around 7:30. Yeah, there should be people around at this time. There's no sign of anyone. Oh, yeah. There was some crime here in Miyama City a few days ago. A burglar murdered someone, I think. Must be why there's no one around and why the school curfew became 6 o'clock. Uh-huh. The burglar murder. Is that important? Is the burglar murder important to the plot? Sounds like it's something that would be important. I mean, it's important in the sense that it creates the curfew, but if it's just important by association, that feels iffy. I feel like there'd be an actual, like the gas leak, I can sort of put 2 and 2 together, but the burglar murder sounds like it shouldn't just be a nothing. But I don't know. Did we ever get details on the burglar murder? Gas leaks and murders, huh? It's becoming dangerous lately. The fact that he's also glumping them together suggests that the burglar murder is also related to the magical thing, but I wouldn't know how necessarily. It suggests it's related to the Grail War, though. No wonder there are fewer people walking around at night. It's getting too dangerous to let Sakura go home on her own. Sakura's house is in the residential area on the other side of town. Starting tonight, I should walk her home. But then, no, it ends up being Taiga that walks her home. Yeah. But you do think to yourself, starting tonight, you should walk her home, which means you'd have to end up confronting Shinji, potentially a dangerous truth. That's interesting, actually. You're even thinking, before Taiga changes your mind, at least, that maybe you should walk Sakura home, which is going to make things awkward, but you're willing to do it, even though you know that probably gives a bit of a hard truth. You're willing to do it because, like, you know that Shinji's being lied to, right? Even though it was really weird when I ended up finding that out. You know that Shinji's being lied to about what Sakura's really doing. Sakura's not saying that she's actually coming to your place. So the fact that you're saying this internally means you know you'd have to confront hard truth, but you're willing to do it for Sakura, which shows, you know, how deep your feelings for her are. And they are pretty deep, even if, you know, when you end up seeing Saber, at least in the Fate path, you know, you have, you know, love at first blonde hair. But clearly, that being removed from the equation, you do seem to have some deep affections for her. Because if you didn't, you probably wouldn't even be giving this notion any thought. Because you've got to know that that would end up meaning you'd end up running into Shinji. And that's awkward because you know that she's not supposed to, you know, be with you. And you know that's a hard truth, which you normally want to not face. But you'd be willing to take the chance on it because of how much you care about Sakura, I feel. For a moment, I can't believe my eyes. There's someone on the road, which I thought was empty. The person is standing above me as if looking down at me. Ellipses, or dash. Without realizing I had to hold my breath. Pre-Saber, I think it's a close tie between Taiga and Sakura to be the closest person to Shiro. I think it's Sakura, though. Taiga's definitely up there. Taiga's for sure up there, but I think Sakura has a bigger impact on him. The silver-haired girl smiles and descends the hill without a sound. As she passes... You'll die if you don't summon it soon, Oni-chan. The fact that she calls him an Oni-chan, I said this, right? That I probably would have predicted that there's a brother-sister connection, given that Oni-chan's, you know, you call your brother. And I know you can just call anyone your brother, but based on this line alone, I probably would have had, like, wait, do we share a father? And, like, I don't know, based on this line, the fact that we don't have the Kiritsugu around anymore, I feel like just based on the Oni-chan, I said this a while back, that I might have incorrectly, based on an incorrect basis, predicted the father connection because of her calling him Oni-chan. Because I'm not really used to that, even if that is a thing normally. I'm not really used to people just calling each other Oni-chan unless there's actually at least a cousin connection. Eras of people close to Shiro post-fire, it was the Kiritsugu era, and Taiga held them together post-death, and Sakura, Oni-chan. I feel like this alone might have pushed over the theory that there's a father connection. Because even if it's incorrect basis, even if people just call themselves that, I'm not used to that. So I have wrong basis for my information if that's correct. Because I'm used to, like, at least being connected cousin-wise or a strong connection where even if you're not literally blood-related, you've still been living together for a long time. But, like, this is just out of nowhere. I feel like I would hear this and I would think, oh, are you guys have the same parents somehow or same relation or related somehow? And it's true, but I was told at the time, I remember being told this, that, oh no, it's not that weird to call Oni-chan. I think, but at the time I would have thought it was weird, but, given that I'm streaming this, though, if I was always streaming it and not Let's Playing it, which would be different, I could have people being like, oh, it's not that weird for people to call other people Oni-chan. And if you said that, then I might be like, oh, never mind that. But I still, at that point, would have said the father prediction needed to be corrected. So it still would have been in the air, which would have made me probably notice more connections. So maybe I would have landed on the father connection anyway. Maybe. You'll die if you don't summon it soon, Oni-chan. She says something strange. I go up the hill and reach my house. As the lights are on, Sakura and Fujine must be home already. Okay, I'm a little curious about something. Wait. Back. Save. Yeah, so... Oni-chan. Let me take a little trip down memory lane. I want to check this one out again, because I don't remember... Because there was definitely that felt, I guess there's no meaningful change, but that still felt a little bit like a meaningful prod. I guess it's not that meaningful. I want to real quick dip into the other choice for a second. I should prioritize work. I didn't promise to go there, but I'd say I do my best there, so I should do so. You say I got plans. Can we finish it? Plans. Oh, it must... mean your work. Sorry to trouble you this an urgent matter. Don't worry, me going. Sorry, I need the first thing tomorrow, so we can call you. I told you it's not that important. The urgent stuff was just morning. You can finish the rest when you're free. I mean, I still can finish it when I don't have work. Oh, maybe he does say it before I even leave. Okay, it's basically the same thing more or less, where he just says, "Man, you my work isn't necessarily that important. You can afford to say no." Maybe he says it anyway here. Okay. Sure, I'll rely on you again then, Emiya. Or he doesn't say it. He just leaves. Never mind. Yeah, maybe Issei's happy he said no, because it means, oh, you're prioritizing. You're able to say no. Yeah, it's not bad, actually. Like, Issei, he's still going to ask for the help because he wants the help, but it's still good that Shiro's able to put his own shit in order sometimes and say no. That is a good thing. Even though in this case he's still doing work, it's just different work, but Issei says Furlong leaves the classroom. Wow, should hurry off too. Even though there's no set time to be there, I should head to the neighboring town if I'm going to go to work. So the important thing, so it's just Neko? I mean, Neko's the most important, don't get me wrong, but... Thought I was only helping out, but they gave me 30,000 yen, which goes nowhere, right? In the narrative, the fact that he's got $300 more does nothing. I'll call it receiving a windfall, I guess. Copenhagen, the place where I work today, is like a liquor store and a bar, and a lot of people are needed to restock inventory. It's a big job, takes at least 5 people, it doesn't hurt to have more. The boss just said to everyone in his usual tone, if you can come and help, please do. Completely relaxed about it. As it turned out, I was the only one who came, along with the boss and his daughter, Neko-san. Oh, Neko-san? Neko-chan? Whatever. You idiot. There's no way people will come if you ask like that. Oh, that's what Neko said. You have to be more assertive. And then you came anyway. Neko-san was scolding the boss, but I showed up to be a victim, defying the expectations. Yeah, and then it's supposed to be work that takes about 5 people, right? At least 5 people. Ah. So it's a big job, and he did it all nonchalantly. But you came and helped. Yeah, that's why he got so much money for it. They welcomed me with a cheer, and we decided to clean up the storage area as best we could. And so, before we realized 2 hours had passed, we'd finished restocking the inventory. Surprise, Sherry, are you some kind of brownie or something? After work, the boss eats a brown cake. Oh, and maybe this leads into the same thing, where it's like, I'm surprised you didn't say no. But I thought it was Issei that still said that to me in the other timeline. Maybe I'm wrong? Brown cake of being impressed. Not at all. I'm just used to having heavy jobs and working here. Know where things are. I've been working here since I was small for nothing, you know. Oh, he's working there for a long time then. Has it been 5 years already? Oh, okay, ever since the death, right. Which is interesting. And it goes against what he's saying about how he always wants to help. But work isn't the same kind of help. Because work is something you get paid for. When you get paid, it's not really the same kind of hero thing. So if anything, the fact that he jumped straight into working, I guess it's, you know, to be self-fulfilling or whatever, but also it takes away from the superhero aspect, arguably. So prioritizing this takes away from your superhero mindset, but I guess it's not really, you never really had a real superhero mindset, but theoretically, helping in the way that doesn't get you paid would be the more superhero thing to do? About that long, you're the only ones that would hire me right after my father died. No wonder I'm feeling old. Eats his rum cake. Neko-san is drinking hot sake next to him. The family is well balanced as the bot likes these things, while the smaller likes spicy things. So. Really help this out. I can't just give you cake for all. So here, take it. She hands me 3 10,000 yen bills. Reward unmatched for the 3 hours of work I did. Much more than I would get even for a week's work. Thank you. I hesitate, but decide to accept what I'm given. And as I'm leaving to go behind him, hold on, Emion. Emion. Oh, right. That's how Neko speaks. Hold on, Emion. Who'd you hear about today from? Neko-san stops me while curled up in front of the heater. Curled up. Oh, God. Neko's remembering why she's the best girl, even though we never fucking see her again. Who'd you hear about today from? Who'd you hear about today? What do you mean? What? Hear what today? I think it was Furumi-san. Who? Wait, what was this? Idiot. Don't push your work onto a student. So you came here today even though you didn't have to? Oh, so Furumi told you. Oh, okay. You're a student. So Furumi... I see. Okay, I understand the context. It's just kind of weird. Oh, and this was him still saying yes, and then Neko's going to be the one to say you can say no? So that's why it's still a similar conversation, just from a different perspective? This is definitely the better version, then, because we get more Neko. We get Neko, period. Well, it was like, come and help if I wasn't busy. Furumi's an idiot, but so are you. Oh, you never turn around anyone asking for help, do you? Took care of the store when Dad and I got sick, too. I mean, that was a nice thing to do. Definitely. I don't think that's true. I don't take impossible jobs. Okay, it's basically the same conversation. I see. That's why it felt so familiar. I can do. You were sick, too, back then, and yet you helped while being sick yourself. Yeah. I don't really care. What I'm saying is, you're a good person, a bit stupid, so I'm worried. Tell Fujimura to come and see me from time to time. Okay, that's what I was thinking. It is basically the same scene, just with different things turned around, and it being Neko who says it instead of Issei, which makes it a million times better, because we get to meet Neko. Neko-san circles her finger while drinking some hot sake. Seems to think I'm a firefly or something. Just tell Fujine that? Right, see ya, don't put yourself too hard, boy. Right, and then it just goes to... Wow, I'm already past the bridge. Made it from the neighboring town of Shinto back into Miami City. It was daydreaming. And then it just does this. And then cancel. Don't skip. And then we can load. Okay, cool. Load. Load this scene back up. Blurp, blurp, blurp. I go up the hill and reach my house. That's good water. As the lights are on, Sakura and Fujine must be home already. Right. Feels a little premature to take another break. It feels like the last break was pretty recent, but I don't know, I do have to pee pretty badly. So I am going to go ahead and set up another break, now that we've re-experienced the Neko greatness. Interesting, Shiro kind of threw the whole Ilya meeting out of his head. Probably, again, it was hiding from a dark truth. He probably realized in subconscious level that meant something scary, but he didn't want to think about it because he doesn't want to confront the dark truths and all that. I mean, even though he wants himself to be darkened, he still wants to make use of the life. It's very conflicted. He's a very conflicted little boy. But go up the hill and reach my house as the lights are on. Let's take a quick look at that interaction again. You'll die if you don't summon it soon, Oni-chan. She says something strange. And then he ignores it. Almost like she said that he'll die. And, you know, he's a death seeker, so he just doesn't care. That sounds like a hard truth, but he's like almost, he ignores. It's like a double layered thing where he doesn't like hard truths, but also this is a hard truth that could lead to his death that he almost is okay with. So he's like, oh, will that let me die? Sure, whatever. It's not that big of a deal if I die, because I don't deserve to be alive right now anyways. So he doesn't really think about it much. Sakura and Fujie must be home already. I smell dinner the moment I enter the living room. At the table are Sakura and Fujine in the middle of dinner. It seems the main dish tonight is chicken. Chicken in cream. Chicken for breakfast, chicken for dinner. Gosh. Loves white sauce, is in a good mood. Welcome home, senpai. We're sorry for starting without you. Sorry I'm late. I wish I could have come home earlier. You made it. Could you wait a bit? I'll get your dinner ready right away. Yeah, alright, I'll go and wash my hands to make sure Fujine doesn't eat my food. Right, they had to wait for him. Shiro said he probably wouldn't be too long, but they ended up being long. Yeah, so normally I feel like, you know, you'd make the dinner and prep for when he gets home, because she thought she was going to be home first anyways. But I guess it was unexpected because maybe there was no communication between the two. That he'd be home late, so that's why she had to just prep the dinner late, or she already prepped it, but then had to, like, you're just gonna reheat it, or are you gonna remake it, or did you not prep it in the first place? Because having to wait till he's home to prep it in the first place, I guess if he's a patient person, I would want to be like, make it so that when I get home, it's ready. Gosh. If you're ready, I'll get your dinner ready right away. Alright, I'll go and wash my hands. Okay, make sure she doesn't eat my food. Is it even ready yet? Like, your dinner ready. Maybe that means she just has to, like, reheat it up or something. Yes, I will. I return to my room. It's a fairly empty room compared to the shed. But since I don't have any hobbies, I think it's quite decorated. Most of them are random things Fujine has left here, though. It's more her room than yours. I wash my hands, change, and return to the living room to find my dinner ready. Itadakimasu. I hope it's to your liking. Sakura is terribly modest. Her cooking skills have vastly improved in the past year. Well then say you like it, gosh. Compliment her, because she likes it when you like it. She likes it when people like it in general, but I'm sure. But she likes it especially when you like it. She has me completely beaten at Western-style foods, and I can barely beat her at Japanese. Neither of us have touched Chinese, right, and that's Rin's thing. Okay. I'm pleased my pupil is getting better, but it's kind of depressing when the teacher is defeated by the student. As good as I expected. Oh, that I guess that's good enough, huh? You didn't say oishi, though. Oishi! Chicken becomes harder the longer you cook it, so it's juicier and tastier if you roast it before cooking it, even though it's tedious. Indeed, there's complicated cookie cook things. That sounds like a complicated cookie cook. I don't do the cookie cooks much, but I do appreciate it, and I respect it greatly. That's done perfectly here. It's a master skill, forever beyond the clumsy Fujine. How is it, senpai? I think I did quite well today. Again, asking. Because, I don't know, she likes the affirmation because she likes it when he likes it. And she doesn't know if he likes it if he doesn't respond. Him not responding is normal because he's so blunt. But she still wants to prod the response out of him because she likes it so much when he likes it. It's perfect. The sauce is great, too. Guess you have me completely beat when it comes to Western food. And then there's a big smile in response, yeah. Yeah, meaty food is much better since Sakura-chan started cooking. Right, chicken, that makes sense. Chicken is more Western-y. That sounds like a correct statement, I guess. Even though there's like teriyaki sauce, which is an English word, but it comes, you know, it's completely Japanese kanji word too. So it comes from Japan. If anything, that's a rare case of an English loan word rather than Japan using, you know, a loan word from the English. It's English using a loan word from Japan with teriyaki, and it just sounds so natural in English. And yet, you know, it's also just a Japanese word. It's funny how that happens because usually there's not much overlap where you hear something that sounds, if it sounds like a Japanese word, it's probably a Japanese word. If it sounds like an English word, it's probably an English word. But like teriyaki sauce, for example, I don't think of that as a Japanese word, but then yeah, it's just teriyaki, and it even sounds almost exactly the same. So, funny how that works out. Mini food's much better since Sakura-chan started cooking. With that, Fujine, who had been preoccupied with her food, lifts up her head. Oh, Shiro, a student mustn't come home this late. You waited a bit to say that. Ack. It seems she's in a bad mood now. She's in my face, even though she was happy because of dinner. Hey, you were helping someone again. That's good, but at least come home early at times like this. Because of the curfew. It was dangerous. You told him, but he kind of ignored the curfew. He doesn't really care. He doesn't assume anything bad's gonna happen. If something bad does happen, he's more of a death seeker anyway, so he doesn't really care. If he cared at all, it'd be cared so that he can protect Sakura. I said it for your sake, you know. Because you know he's the type to ignore that stuff. Can't you tell me that at home instead of in homeroom? It's more personal at home. You wouldn't listen if I told you here. It's more effective if I tell you at school. Oh, because you know that, you know, you're more of a jokester here. We have to be somewhat serious. Somewhat, I guess. At school? That's fair, I guess. Sensei, I think that's abusing your authority. You shouldn't mix work and private life. I mean, I think it works well enough. She was telling it to everyone. So, I mean, the fact that it had a double purpose it's fine, I think. It's not enough for Shiro unless I go that far. Doesn't even feel like she's going that far, but sure. He's always on the losing side because he's the one helping everyone else. He should at least come straight home and relax sometimes. That idiot. You say right in front of my face. What do you mean by idiot? I'm not the one on the losing side if I help someone and they're helped by it. I mean, you know, it's kind of goes back to what Issei was talking about, or even Neko. About, you know, getting abused by someone, or this is more Issei, but if you're helping someone who doesn't deserve to be helped. I wonder if you got that from Kiritsugu-san. I worry because you're like that. Yeah, Kiritsugu likes helping people, but I don't know if there is an unhealthiness to it. It was not the same kind of unhealthiness that Shiro has now. I don't know exactly how she's worried as she energetically munching down her dinner. Fujimura-sensei, from what you said, Senpai been like this since he was small? Oh, that's right, because Sakura's only known for about a year and a half. Oh. Shiro's at least been like this since Kiritsugu passed. He's always been like this. He's the type that goes to help people in trouble. But he's not meddlesome. He's just a bit precocious. Yeah. It would have been not meddlesome because that involves hard truths usually. Ever since even before Kiritsugu makes sense, even if Kiritsugu enforced it, even if it's before Kiritsugu's death, that makes sense, I would say, because he still felt bad about the fire even back then. Fujine laughs dangerously. Fujine will get mad if you say too much. You too, Sakura. Don't ask such boring questions. Doesn't want the prying into the past because it reveals his deep, dark, dirty, evil secrets. I glare at them. Fujine clicks her tongue and backs down, but... Fujimura-sensei, please continue. Sakura gets aggressive. Because, yeah, she really is on that Shiro train. And wants to know his bad sides to help him through it. Or his good sides. Whichever sides. All the sides. Sakura's taking the lesson seriously. And I shall see. Shiro's a person who can't ignore someone in trouble. It's like helping the weak and defending the strong. Defeating the strong. Yeah, defending the strong. I mean, you can, I guess. There's nothing wrong with that. He would definitely wants to defend the strong in the case of someone like Saber. In the essay, he wrote as a child, he said, "My dream is to become a superhero." But he's just piggybacking that off of Kiritsugu. Dash dash dash. She's talking about things from so long ago, but you still believe them to an extent, don't lie. It's all true, so I don't interrupt. Oh, is it? Becoming a superhero is a goal I must not stray from even now. Sope was a real kid. That's her response. Beating the weak and defending the strong. Fuck yeah! Yep, it's the best kind of superhero. More like, that sounds like a super villain, but you know. He was some kid. He would go and help girls being picked on by much older kids. And he'd do the chores around the house because Kiritsugu-san wouldn't. And helping girls specifically, he was already, even back then, had those horny hormones in him. He was so cute and innocent back then. So why did he grow up so crooked? I mean, is he really that different? Just because he backtalks you now that he's of a similar age and he's, you know, used to your BS. That's the only crookedness. That's the only thing that's really changed his interaction with you, Taiga. Must not stray from that path even now. But Sakura, even though she thinks it's childish, she's happy about it because his white knight in shining armor is what, you know, helped Sakura out of the bind in the first place. So she's probably, you know, idolizing of it. She's idolizing the fake version of Shiro because the reason for his knight in shining, that's sort of an excuse, the hero aesthetic, but she would look up to it and not really doubt it. She'd think it's childish, but she'd be thankful for the childishness. Kids think a lot when they see think a lot when they see bad adults. Learn to make your own dinner before you say anything like that. What? Depending on how much abuse she's gone through, I think she's had enough of adult stuff. Yeah. She'd be more prefer the childish. Yeah. Fujine crumbles. Oh, that was Shiro who said that. It's bad adults. Oof. Calling Taiga a bad adult. Woof. A pure innocent dream would be appealing. Yeah. She would idolize it. Makes sense. I thought she might drop her head and repent, but... One-chan is sad. Sakura-chan, can I have another bowl? Fujin asked for a third bowl. Relaxing after dinner, it's almost 9 o'clock. Well, what shall I do? There's some time before my evening training. I should... Wait, can I take Sakura home? Is that an option? I would have picked it, right? And then they said no? Wait. Can I? Sakura-chan? I'm certain I would have picked it, because she was my favorite even back then, right? Sakura-chan, save. I feel like I've picked all of these. Let's do all three then. I feel like I don't know. I want to say I already picked all these, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. But like the play with Fujine, maybe this is from a different time, the play with Fujine, but I'm sure I would have at least tried this, so let me check this one. Oh yeah, I've definitely seen it. Taking Sakura home. I definitely would have chose this immediately. Go talk to her. So you try to walk her home, and then Taiga says no, right? Were you taking a bath, senpai? Oh no, I'll take it later. I'll take you home first. Hey, take me home. Yeah, it's getting dangerous outside lately, so I'm gonna walk you home. Your house is far away. Yeah, and then she's not okay with that. Sakura falls into an awkward silence. Did I say something bad? So I appreciate your concern, but you should stay here. I'm used to going home, so I should be fine by myself. Maybe true, but it's getting dangerous these days. I'll walk you home for a bit. But if Nissan sees you, you'll be in trouble too. Oh. That's right. Sakura brother Shinji doesn't approve Sakura. And this is when Tiger comes and says she'll do it, right? Problem if I take her home. I don't care about getting falsely accused myself, but it's not good if Shinji takes it on Sakura. Internally, I feel like you would have already known that Shinji was thinking this in the first place, but I guess if you didn't, then maybe it just shows... I suppose you could have not been thinking about Shinji. I think it's hard to not think about Shinji, but... She says she's going to Fujine's house, but it could be a problem if I take her home. I feel like you would just know that. I guess if you're not thinking about it. It still shows a closeness, but maybe not as much of a closeness in theory. But you still go through with it, so it does show the extra closeness. But I can walk you part of the way, right? We shouldn't run to Shinji between here and the intersection. Because that's still risky. So he is still risking it for a biscuit to an extent. Sakura is silent. Considering Sakura, she must not be able to lie to Shinji if I take her home even part of the way. And yet she can lie about not actually going to Shiro's place? That feels weird. Feels like that's not the reason. Feels like she just doesn't want to risk it at all. Oh, then... Shall I walk you home? A tiger-striped English teacher appears. Yeah, it's getting the land with a lion. When I say it's dangerous for a girl to be out at night, adding another is just... Oh god, this agonism. No. It's a mistake to call Fujine a girl. For starters, she doesn't, the archery club. Her 5th Dan Kendo skills. I think of Dans as like go terms. Is it used? I wonder how many other sports and stuff it's used for. Her 5th Dan Kendo skills are dangerous in many ways. I guess Fujine will be fine. You should be able to fight off any molester. Right, so there's no problem with me taking her home. So that's alright with you, Fujimori-sensei. It's decided, let's go then. I was thinking I should head home too. Right. Okay. Right. Alright. What are the other choices and have I picked them before already? Because Fuji ends up just taking Sakura home. So what happens if I try to play with Fuji? Is it basically dovetailing the same scene, which is like, I should bring Sakura home? Let's try to play with Fujine. Well, it might be fun to see how Fujine is doing. Have I seen this scene? Yeah, if I get a chance, I'll get her back for telling Sakura those stories. Oh. Have I seen this? I guess if we don't get a skip scene. No skip scene. Were you taking a bath? I feel like there was a Fuji scene I've already seen, but... Yeah, we couldn't skip. So it must be a later scene where there was a choice similar to this. Like, do you want to go with Saber or go with Taiga or something? And I think going with Taiga is something I initially didn't do, but I did it later when I was checking for bad endings, but I never went this far back to check for bad endings. That sounds correct. Were you taking a bath? Fujine is silently peeling oranges. On the table are 2 orange skins shaped like flowers. Ellipses. Is it some curse that she can't even skin an apple, but she's rather talented at artistically peeling oranges? What a weird quirk! Silently peeling oranges. I mean, she is orange-haired. Does that have anything to do with it? She's good with oranges. What does that say? Does that say anything narratively deep that she's good with oranges? She can't skin an apple, but she's talented at artistically doing oranges. What's the metaphor there?
風呂は後にした。さっきの話でケチついたんで、風呂の前に文句言っとこうと思って。
And does she end up taking Sakura home anyway? I would assume so. I would assume she ends up taking Sakura home anyway, and this dovetails into that. Because it'd be sketchy otherwise. I think that's what it's saying. Taiga has the sensitive side. Sure, but why with oranges specifically? What's the apple versus orange, and why is orange something she can do and not apple? Maybe because peeling apple is like a rough thing, and she gets too rough, but for orange, which is more delicate, she can do that. She just can't do the mixture? I don't know. Like, orange is a delicate thing. She can do delicate things and be bad at rough things. But I mean, being bad at rough things, well, I guess. I decided to take it later. I just wanted to complain about those stories before I took a bath.
別にいいじゃん。もう昔のことなんだし、さくらちゃんも喜んでたし。それよりはい、今日のノルマ。チローは1日1個だからね。
Come on, it's such an old story, and Sakura-chan was happy to hear it too. Instead of that, here, finish your quota. You should eat 1 a day. 1 orange a day? Isn't it an apple a day? Shiro being the rough apple? Oh. I can handle all these kids, but I can't seem to help fix Shiro. If she even realizes something wrong with Shiro, I suppose. The rest of the school being oranges? Shiro being the rough apple? I guess there's a metaphor there. That's kind of a funny thing to think of, that Shiro is the apple, and he is red-haired. Okay, that's fair. Shiro does have red hair. He is kind of the red aesthetic. And Taiga can't really properly handle the apple, but she tries her best. But she can deal with the oranges, which is why she's a good teacher. But she can't deal with the apple, and Shiro's an apple. I like that analogy. I like it. That's a very wise analogy, wise fool. It's not at all a foolish one. Finish your quote. You should eat one a day. She takes an orange out of a small box and throws it to me. You're trying to make me an orange, man, but I'm an apple. Didn't you read the analogy?
ってみかんぐらいで怪獣されないぞ。
I won't be bought off with just an orange. I reached quite far for that metaphor. I like it. That's my kind of metaphor.
さくらだったからいいようなものの、学校であんな話するなよ。一世あたりが変な心配するから。
Huh. Thank God it was Sakura. Don't tell that score at school, okay? People like Issei would worry. I feel like they would rightly worry. The fact that you've been such protective for so long. They should worry. Because it's a worrying thing, but you're trying to prevent people from knowing. Because it would make you prevent the hard truth you don't want to... confront the hard truth you don't want to confront.
三辻さんは大笑いしそうだけどね。なんて言われなくても分かってるわよ。シロの子供の頃の話なんてさくらちゃん以外にはしないから。
I think Mitsuzuri-san would laugh. Mitsuzuri, I feel like that's the kind of thing you'd think about her, but with how close Shiro and Ayako actually do seem to be, I think if anything, she already knows, maybe to some extent, but hearing that, I think it would... She might laugh at first, but she'd probably know some implications of that, if she doesn't already know the implications, because they seem to be the ones that know each other the most. Shiro being self-aware enough to know that his actions are worrying. He knows that they're worrying, but only acts when it could potentially create a problem for him to confront, that he doesn't want to confront. I won't tell anyone except Sakura-chan about your childhood.
だからさくらにもするなって言ってるの。あんなつまんない話されたらさくらだっていい迷惑だろ。もうないと思うけど今度やったら怒るからな。
I love the way he said Dakara. Dakara! I just... Oh... Dakara is actually a line that stands out to me a bit because when I was watching Liar Game, the Japanese version live-action show, not the Korean one, I know it exists, I might watch it at some point, but there's this one time where they're doing this one game and somebody gets really upset and they're like, Dakara, and they say it in such a specific way, and it stuck with me. Anyways, Dakara means basically therefore, which isn't quite translated here well, but it makes sense. I'm saying it should be that's why I'm saying maybe, but or that's what I'm saying. Don't tell Sakura either. She'll just be bothered if you tell boring stories like that. It's not that it's boring that's your problem, Shiro. That's not what bothers you. I don't think it'll happen again, but I'll get mad if it does. Oh, you will indeed. And metaphor may kind of be relevant here, with Shiro and Taiga being somewhat in conflict. Taiga wanting to show the flaws in Shiro to his friends. He just shuts it all down. I don't think it'll happen again, but I'll get mad if it does. Taiga gets mad about the tiger nickname, but she doesn't get that mad, where Shiro, you know, this is maybe some of that temper coming out. He gets angry at confronting the hard truths, which maybe he's gotten better about with Sakura being around, but, you know, having Sakura confront it might even be the worst, because she's arguably an anchor of sorts. And she doesn't want that anchor, you know, getting into drudging up his drudge that he's trying to avoid. I glare at Fujina to show her that I'm serious. Yeah, you being serious here in itself is a bit of a... Maybe this is when she responds by like, well, maybe I'll take Sakura home then, to try to dodge the conversation because she doesn't know how to deal with it temporarily. Is that what dovetails? Or does she try to take it a little more seriously? Even though she tries her best to be the guardian, maybe she's not the best at doing it. Angry when confronting the hard truths makes the whole situations with Shinji a lot of sense. Yeah. Hearing Sakura got abused. Because, you know, him going berserk because of the whole, you know, where he never saw the other people from that supposedly went to the church, and he avoided that for so long. But then there's the abuse thing with Sakura, which, you know, couldn't abuse when it's put right in his face. I don't think it'll happen again, but I'll get mad if it does. I glare at Fujine to show her that I'm serious.
ほほ
Ooh, those eyes!
なんだそっかそういうわけつまりシロはそうなのよ
Oh, I see, I understand. So that's how it is, huh? I think Taiga is misreading the situation, that him getting angry is similar to her getting angry, where it's like, oh, I'll get angry, and she kind of cares, but doesn't really care, so people can keep pushing her buttons, and it annoys her, but doesn't really annoy her. This, actually, I think really does get to him, and I don't think she's reading the situation properly. But Fujine just grins widely, and she seems very pleased. I think she's misreading how much this actually bugs you. Because if she was reading it correctly, I think she would back off.
なんかこうカチンときたかも。何納得してんだよ、バカトラ。
Now you're pissing me off. What are you inferring, you stupid tiger? Bakatora! I glare at her stupid face. The inner monologue's even calling her stupid now.
トラでもいいようだ要するにあれでしょシロはさくらちゃんに知られるのが嫌だったのよ
I don't care if I'm a tiger. I'm right, aren't I? You didn't want Sakura-chan to know, right? Okay. This could be that she's not reading it correctly, or she is reading it correctly and that's what makes her happy because she's getting in the core of the issue she's known Shiro has had but not really been known how to confront. And maybe she's like, oh, then telling Sakura will maybe force him to confront it a bit more, which is good because he should, because that's healthy, which might be why she's responding this way. Maybe she means maybe she's not reading it wrong, but maybe. Or at least trying to understand what she's reading. Maybe she doesn't know and thinks this is the best response.
他の人に正義の味方になりたいなんて知られても気にしないけどさくらちゃんに知られるのは恥ずかしかったわけね
Oh, okay, so I think you do know. You did somewhat, to an extent, read that correctly. On some level. You wouldn't care if everyone else found out you wanted to be a superhero, but you're embarrassed about Sakura-chan specifically knowing. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't want everyone to know. That's probably true, but Sakura's probably the #1 person he doesn't want to know. Kind of like how Sakura, like the #1 thing probably she doesn't want Shiro to know would be something like, I have some gross connection with Shinji or the Grail War that's bad, but you definitely don't want you to know that because, she wants to protect the relationship and doesn't want to risk messing it up by the other person finding out about the fucked up flaw or the fucked up thingamajigger. Trying her best to skin that apple. Yeah. What? I don't think so. Ooh, you're doubting yourself. Yeah, I was expecting you cared the most about Sakura anyways, but I read it a little. There's a little more to it, I would say, but she seems to have had a good pitch. A pitch? Sure, we'll use pitch to mean the thing that I said. The thing that I meant.
そういうことならどんどん話しちゃうから
In that case, I'll tell her more. Is that the healthiest way of going about this? I guess you don't know much better ways to go about it, Taiga. I mean, I guess this is your way of approaching the situation.
そっかシロもようやくさくらちゃんを意識しだしたか
I guess you finally started to notice Sakura-chan, huh? I mean, that's part of it, yeah.
教師としてちょっと心配だけど保護者としてはちょっと安心したかなけどお姉ちゃんはちょっと寂しいかな
I'm worried as a teacher, but I'm quite relieved as your guardian. You're worried as it... Wait. You're relieved as my guardian that I have the hots for... What? Is that what you think this is about? Because it goes deeper than that for sure. She says so with great emotion. And she throws a whole orange into her mouth. Oh, I think she did misread. I think she read correctly that I did care specifically the most about Sakura in this case. But I think she read wrong in terms of the reason I care so much. Shiro is starting to like Sakura, but I think there's something deeper that Taiga did misread there. Fujine can eat things as big as her fist in one bite. Taiga is just reading the romantic overtones. Yeah, it's just the romanticness, which is there, but it's missing the greater issues. That's why she's acting so jovial. Because it should be something to take a bit more seriously if she realized the implications. I guess it'd be an attractive quality somewhere in the savannah. I don't think an older woman needs such wild charm. She's not that fucking old. She's close to my age, damn it. Older woman. How dare you? Older, I guess, is fair. Not old. Older. Ah, grumble, grumble. Senpai, weren't you taking a bath? Oh, okay. Does it dovetail anyways into the Fuji taking Sakura home thing? And Sakura, finished with the dishes, comes into the living room.
ああ、藤根に話があってちょっと後回し。さくら、みかん食べるか？
I put it off since I wanted to tell Fujine something. Sakura, you want an orange? The oranges come back. I think Shiro calmed down because he also subtly realized that she didn't know the full truth. Yeah. He was getting, you know, really bashful. And then she was saying, oh, I'm going to keep prodding. And then he was like, and yeah, he calmed down, probably because she was just going to the romance angle. Makes sense. Put it off since I wanted to tell Fujine something. And he's dropping it here, even though he was taking it really seriously. Once she started prodding at it because of the romance angle, he dropped it because he knew that she was going to prod more because of the way he was acting. Even though that wasn't quite the reason he was acting that way. He's like, maybe I should stop being so uppity or she'll say more, not less. You want an orange? I reach for the stack of oranges. It's a strange turn of events, but staying here with them should be fun too. Oh, do they just stay? That would be a big change.
それならさっき藤村先生にいただきました。私用に取っておいてくれたおみかんで美味しかったです。
I got some from Fujimura sensei just now. They were really good. Oranges. Orange boy. The really most important, orange metaphor in visual storytelling of the Code Geass fame. I don't know why I'm bringing it up.
さくらちゃんは生の果物はダメだからね。
Sakura-chan can't eat fresh fruit. Oh. Wait, what's the difference? Can't eat fresh fruit. Eh? You want orange is so funny for me for no reason. I can see why. Hold on. What is fresh fruit versus... What's not fresh fruit? Can only eat fresh fruit. Do you mean she's being a food snob and can't eat fruit that's not completely fresh? Or do you mean... Hold on. Fresh fruit versus not fresh fruit. Fruits and vegetables are picked and frozen at peak ripeness and retaining vitamin content to their fresh counterpart. In fact, many fruits than when they're eaten fresh. Oh, frozen versus fresh. That's what you mean. Okay. I understand. So there's not like a... It's not like some fruits are frozen, some fruits are fresh. It's just more... There's two ways of doing it, and it applies to basically all fruits. I think I understand. I think that is the meaning. Nani? Hi, Panana. Also, hi. Sakura-chan can't eat fresh fruit. So she's just being a food snob. Okay.
調理したやつかアイスみたいに冷やしてないと食べてくれないのだ。で、さくらちゃんそろそろ時間？
Okay, yeah, now it dovetails into her taking her home. So she won't eat it unless you cook it or freeze it like ice cream. Ice cream? Ice cream fruit? I did think when I was younger that bananas were just dairy because they tasted so good. And like no other fruits or vegetables. I thought fruits or vegetables tasted grody. And like you have to because they're good for you, but you don't want to because they suck. But then bananas were so good and I'm like, they taste like dairy. Bananas are probably just dairy foods. And then when I found out they weren't, I'm like, oh, bonus. It tastes like dairy food, but it's actually good for you or something. She won't eat unless you cook or freeze like ice cream. Is it almost time?
はい。後片付けも済みましたから、今日はもう帰ります。
I'm done cleaning up, so I'll be heading home for today.
そっか。じゃあ私もおいとまするわ。さくらちゃん行こう。最近は物騒だから近くまで送って行ってあげる。
I see. And I guess I'll leave too. Let's go, Sakura-chan. It's getting dangerous outside lately, so I'll walk home with you. Okay, it happens anyway. She just brings it up naturally. Which shows Taiga as being a good guardian. Her being a picky eater. It shows that she has enough of a backbone here. That she has the ability to do that. Yeah, which she's gained over the time of being with, you know, Shiro. I was about to say Renegade. Shiro's not Renegade. No awkward talk with Sakura. Instead, we got an awkward talk with Taiga. Yeah. The thing about being the picky eater, it shows them just like how she's willing to talk back now to Shiro sometimes. It shows the comfort level that she's willing to be like, well, I don't like certain foods. That's good. It's good to, you know, have tastes and preference and be able to share those tastes and not feel like, well, I don't want to be rude if I'm the guest, because it shows you're past the point of being the guest. We kind of already knew that, but it's just kind of re-emphasis, and it shows a characteristic of preferring fresh over frozen. Maybe that means, although if we go dig a little deeper beyond just what it means for being familiar, the preferring fresh over frozen suggests something. And I'm failing to think of what it suggests. There's definitely a suggestion to be made with fresh versus frozen. And wanting things that are more natural, maybe, than things that have been preserved. Isn't the other way around? What is the other way around? She prefers frozen. Is that what she said? Am I crazy? Can't eat fresh fruit. Oh. I thought she said she likes fresh fruit. Never mind. She likes the frozen kind. She doesn't like fresh. Interesting. So what does that say? That also says something. She likes frozen, not fresh. So she likes it when they're prepped and stuff. And she doesn't like it when they're like straight off the... She doesn't like the natural. She doesn't like the natural. She likes the unnatural. Maybe she prefers to go against the... I don't know, I'm reading too deeply into this. She prefers to go against the natural order of things. Because the natural order is bad, and she's used to the natural order. She thinks that what she deals with Shinji is the natural order, and she doesn't like that. So she wants them to be frozen. Or she wants to freeze them. Let's hope she has no trauma related to fresh fruit. There's something there. It's weird to not like fresh fruit specifically, I think. Isn't it weird? I think it's weird. That's not a thing I've ever heard before. Shinji force feeding it. Ugh. I feel like there's a metaphorical implication there because I don't know. I've not known anyone to just not like a certain type. You know, maybe there's some specific. I don't know. It just seems weird. Like you could be a foodie who prefers. I've known some foodies who prefer fresh because they think the frozen is like, oh, it's artificial, blah. But the people that just prefer the frozen, I don't know that they turn their nose up at fresh. They just think that frozen is sometimes more convenient. Not liking fresh fruit is really weird. Not liking frozen fruit I've known, but not liking fresh is weird, and I feel like there's a metaphorical implication, and I can't pin it. It's bugging me that I can't pin it, and I just want to move on. I don't want to move on, because I want to know what it is, and I don't know. Why would you not like fresh fruit? You want artificial. You don't like freshness. You think naturalness is scary. You think naturalness is a lie. And anyone showing their naturalness is lying. That there's actually some lies hidden beneath the naturalness. So anyone pretending to be natural is a liar. And that in reality, everything is a lie. So it's good when they pretend they're lies. They freeze to they're being honest about themselves being liars. But when they're fresh, they're not honest. But they're still liars because everyone's a liar. Traumatized past. It's approach to life. She doesn't want a raw relationship. She wants a cute artificial relationship with Shiro. Yeah. Cultural thing in Japan? Okay, maybe it's more of a Japan thing if she is saying it's so I don't know. It just does feel weird though. Certainly. Maybe there's a cultural thing, but I've not heard of it before. But again, cultural, I guess. It's possible, but it's funner to think there's deep implications, because it's such a weird thing to throw in there, I feel. I don't know, maybe it is a cultural thing and that makes it not weird. But it feels weird, even to say it, even if it's cultural. Unless it is just so normal. But what's it saying about the character, even if it isn't... Okay. Even if it is a cultural thing, which Wise is now saying he's not heard of it as, but even if it is a cultural thing, Like, there should still be a point to saying it about her character. It should be saying something about her character, like, oh, people that normally prefer frozen fruit have XXX. I don't know what it's saying, but, anyways, I think we are just gonna move on. Okay. I think I'm gonna keep this save file. I know there's a third option, but I'm not gonna use it because I think we're gonna do at least, you know, a third playthrough at least anyways, given, the number of Taiga dojos. Fujine ceases her mass consumption of oranges and stands up. Her actions are almost those of a responsible elder. Almost! Not quite, but almost. She prefers the artificialness because she's scared of the truth. Yeah, I guess actually I was trying to go really deep with the idea of she thinks everyone's a liar, but I think actually a more realistic explanation would be similar to Shiro. There's a parallel there, that she's scared of the truth, and so she'd rather use something artificial than confront the dark truth. There's a parallel there in that case. Yeah. And there is definitely parallels between Shiro and Sakura, since they sort of better each other. They're both kind of fucked up, but they sort of help each other, but they sort of also want to hide their dirty secrets from each other. They both have a hard time confronting hard truths, but they're both bettering each other, and now they just gotta go the whole way. Sakura, Shiro, OTP, maybe. And it's really strong from the start, which is interesting. You know, the saber thing comes out of nowhere and sort of just dovetails the relationship scene entirely. But it really definitely felt like there was definitely a strong Shiro-Sakura thing from the start, whereas before Shiro just goes saber-sexual. Her actions are almost those of a responsible elder. Is that alright, Sensei?
当然でしょう。さくらちゃんもシロウも私が預かってるんだから、ちゃんと家まで送り届けないと。シロウもそれでいいでしょ?
Of course, I'm in charge of you two.
ちゃんと戸締まりして寝るのよ。
So I have to see you home. That's okay with you, right, Shiro? You'll lock up the house and go to bed after we leave, okay?
了解。藤ねなら鹿が出ようが熊が出ようが安心だ。
You still gotta throw that in there, though. Or a bear! Without this war, I assume Shiro and Sakura will hook up eventually. In theory, but you have to assume some healthy character development at some point, because Shiro is avoiding it as much as possible. And Sakura's got some fucked up shit with her, too. So you'd think that they would naturally hook up, but I don't even know. If they did, there'd have to be some implied character growth at some point down the line, and maybe there is. But it would probably take a long time, and Shinji might, there is a theory of Shinji potentially getting in the way with it. Definitely. With Fujine, you should be fine, even if a molester or a bear jumps out for you.
そうでもないわよ。さすがに雲は無理でしょ。うん、無理だからここまで逃げ帰ってくるね。そしたら二人でやっつけて、明日は熊鍋かな?
I don't know about that. I don't think I'd be able to beat a bear. You think you can beat a monster, though, but not a bear? No, I can't. So if that happens, I'll run back here. Then we can beat it up together and have some stew tomorrow. Bear stew tomorrow. Oh, so you think I would help? You think I would be the hero? Acknowledging me as being grown up and my hero side? You think I could actually help you fight? You think I'm that competent that you alone couldn't do it, but with me... Also, you'll run back here. What about Sakura? Is she gonna come back too? You kind of left her out of that conversation. Bear stew. Fujine smiles confidently. So she can't beat him alone, but if she gets Shiro's back up, then they could beat him. Alright, sure. Yeah. Fujine usually does her own thing and causes havoc. When she's acting as a teacher, she's a very responsible person. Hey, you acknowledge it. Nice. She's also responsible, you know, as your guardian to an extent. This is the route where Shiro, Sakura, and Taiga beat up a bear. I'm excited for it. Let's do it. Let's go, Sakura-chan. See you tomorrow, Shiro. I'm excited for making the wrong choice, getting killed by the bear. And then doing a Tiger Dojo, then making the right choice, but then making another wrong choice, having Taiga accidentally kill me when she's trying to kill the bear, and then doing the Tiger Dojo again. See you tomorrow, Shiro.
それじゃあおやすみなさい先輩。
Good night then, senpai. Oyasumi nasai, indeed. That was so blunt. Yeah. Bear servant. Possibly. Bear is like your animal spirit. Trying to switch historically famous bear could be a servant. Yogi Bear. I mean, I don't know if he's old enough. Tiger would be a great guardian if Shiro was just less damaged. Indeed. I think she's trying her best, and maybe she's not the best guardian, but I think she normally would be acceptable for a normal child who's not as traumatized. Yeah. They leave the house. I follow them out to the entrance and lock up the house as Fujine instructed. Okay, no. And so the day ends. Just before midnight, Emiya Shiro must carry out his daily routine of using magic. Right, so this is repeat stuff, so we can go ahead and yeah. I stretch out and adjust my breathing. I try to empty my mind. Oh, look at the time! It's freaking flying. Time flies when you're having fun. I said I was probably going to stop around 11:30. We're past that point, actually. Let's go a little bit further. We can probably get to the end of day one. It's about to end. I think she's just not experienced enough. Too young. Yeah, because her age would suggest that if she did have a child, they'd be, you know, single digits at oldest. So she's not mentally prepared for dealing with the teenagers. Even, you know, some adults that, you know, progress normally aren't prepared to deal with the teenagers, but handle all of Shiro's problems. Or she just spins a romantic overlook on his distaste for storytelling. That's what all teenage boys are about. Yeah. And pay attention only to what is inside me. Trace on as I hypnotize myself. No, I really am hypnotizing myself. I have no magic crest and no knowledge of magic. Normally there's no limits and no lines in the human body to allow the possession logically. Right, and this is where he has to keep doing the dangerous thing every time, but he never fails because he's got the shield or something. Enough concentration to unify my whole body and every nerve within it. Or does the shield only activate once Saber gets summoned and is dormant until then? I don't know. I think it's still active to a point, right? To an extent. I don't know. Magic is about battle with yourself. I think it is active to an extent, otherwise there'd be no point of Kiritsugu having put it inside him. So I think it is active, it just gets stronger when Saber is summoned. Magic is a battle with yourself. For instance, at this very moment I am inserting a burning steel rod in my backbone. Metal rods da. Yeah, this talk feels a little boring to me because, like, the Magic Mumbo Jumbo, some of it matters, but some of it just feels like a bunch of terms are tossing around that don't mean anything. I can finally become a magus. This is not a metaphor. Reality is something like a burning tongue, something da. I'm a sorcerer. Emi Kiritsugu Mansetsu was really a magus. A living magus who performed many miracles, touched the structure of the world, marvels. Marvel Studios, as a young child I admired him and asked him to teach me magic. You cannot become a magus just through effort. It requires, you've got to be not a muggle. You got to be a wizard, Harry. You got to be a hairy wizard. You have to have a high enough metachlorian count. And of course, I have no talent. Kiritsugu taught me nothing of magic. He said something about having no need of such knowledge. I still don't know what he meant by that. More character interaction. Ursa major constellation myth has a lot of bear. Oh, bear spirits? Oh, nice. For servants? Ursa's like bear in some language, right? Because, yeah, Ursa ring. Right. Still, it didn't matter to me back then. He didn't want you to get engaged in magic because he thought magic only led to badness with his war, and it was all bad. I thought that if I could use magic, I could be like him. But I was born not with talent, no strength of magic circuit, nor accumulated works of magic handed down for generations. The work of magic Kiritsugu possessed the magic crest passed down the Emi family can only be passed onto a blood relative. A magic crest forces a rejection on those with no blood relation. So his adopted son could not receive the Emi's family crest. Well, anyway, as I don't even know what a magic crest is, it doesn't matter if I have one or not, so now it comes down to his training what I can do. Zero is fun because of the magic and battle, but it's the exact opposite in Stay Night. It's the character and their interactions. There's still some good character interplay in Zero for sure, especially Kira. He's really juicy in that. And Kira is also plenty juicy in this. But yeah, the battles are definitely really a really fun spectacle. And there is some real strategy there that I enjoy too. Whereas the strategy in this is mostly less existent, and it's more just about, at least in the first timeline, more about character interplay and the slow burn. And the battles, they happen, but there's less strategic input from Shiro's side, at least. And if there's any strategy, it's only at the very end, when Shiro smartens up. So maybe that'll change in timeline too, because Shiro's theoretically smartened up if this is Grail time traveled, and he's already pre-character developed. Because it definitely feels like it based on the way he acts. He seems to catch things easier and be more self-aware and other people aware. And he's confronting stuff easier. We'll see. All it comes down to is training what I can do. Even the battle against Berserk, I think I talked about this, felt like there was definitely more strategical elements going on than I was used to in the Fate timeline. So, which is exciting for me because I like the strategical battles. I'm a fan. I have to learn magic to fit my nature. To be blunt, magic is a way to release one's magical energy. You could say that magical energy is my life force. It is divided into two forms. A large source, mana, floating around the world, and a small source, odd. It goes without saying the large source, what the fuck even is the point of odd? Why does odd matter, Nasu? The large source superior to the small one. The power of mana is on a completely different level from odd. Whatever the form of the magic a spell uses, the large source thing disputes one power. That is my superior solid grounding magic in the world. It's like a filter. A magus turns his body into a filter, sucks up the mana, uses a bidu. The filter is what we call a magic circuit. This is the talent one is born with. The number of the magic circuits within you is determined when you were born. Normally, human beings do not have many magic circuits. To begin with, there are always very few. Oh wait, there's always very few in the world? Like a law of conservation of there can only be this many magic circuits? Or like there's usually not many and you have to pass on them to get a really big amount, and you need that many big amount to have the midichlorians. Hundreds of pages of extra material Nas has written into a book about the magic system. Yeah, this is why Magi pile them up generation after generation. Magic lore is good. Magic lore can be fun. I enjoy lore, but lore for lore's sake just feels like you're maybe whacking off to your own lore a little bit too much. That's why Magi pile them up generation to generation, make their children more suitable to use magic. I hear some families go too far and increase the number of magic circuits by selective breeding. I mean, I think that's the normal approach with the magical families. Well, since I was raised in a normal family, I don't have many magic circuits. So that leaves only one method open to me. Originally a tabletop setting. Oh, yeah. That's cool. Wait, it's based on it? Wait, hold on. Is this news? Did I know this? Wait, because this was originally a tabletop setting. Oh. You mean like the Grail War is like adopted from like some sort of tabletop game? That sounds like it makes a certain amount of sense. It's just kind of funny because, you know, you think of people trying to incorporate that, the Grail War, tabletop setting Nasu made for him and his friends. Okay, that would explain why there's so much lore, because it really is just you whacking off to yourself when you make lore for yourself as a dungeon master that your players don't need to know about necessarily. He adapted the setting for his VN. That's interesting. That's a very neat little bit of tidbit. It's just interesting because stuff like the servant master thing, I feel like if I was a player in a D&D game normally, you'd expect, unless you're really close friends, then it's different. But you'd expect that, you know, maybe you're all servants and the or rather, you're all masters and the servants are NPCs, or you're all servants and the masters are NPCs. Because if some are servants, some are masters, you're just gonna have some characters that are just statistically much stronger in terms of the PCs, which is weird because usually, you know, players don't want to feel like they have that they're unfairly disadvantaged compared to other players, unless you're a really close friend group and you can get away with that kind of thing. But things to think about. As DM, you can pull obscure AF lore out of thin air to screw over your players. Do you remember the definition of odd? If you don't, you can't open this door. According to Q2, every person has elite one form of magic they are fit for. He said something about drawing on magical energy. All I know for sure is that even I have some magic I can use, and if I train that magic, I may be able to become like Kiritsugu. Gunsmith, yeah. That's why I learned only that magic. That was 8 years ago. Right. Only the magic that he's the good at. Okay, cool. The strengthening. After a lot of thought, Kiritsugu finally accepted me as his student. Listen, Shiro, to learn magic is to stray away from common sense. You die when you die, and you kill when you must kill. You die when you die. You also die when you are killed. Our essence is not in life, but in death. Magic is only a way to destroy yourself. Not in life, but in death. That's so gross. You know, like, Rin talks about how magic is bad. Kiritsugu talks about it. Why does anybody even like fucking magic? Only a way to destroy yourself. Actual interesting lore, because it's about what Kiritsugu said. Or magic culture. Spell prana backwards. Anarp? Without hesitating, or you shall not pass. Anarp. I did it. I guess I had no fear as a child. I was gonna say culture, because wisely you said culture. Kiritsugu smiled bitterly, putting his hand on the nodding Emiyashiro. But what I will teach you will bring you conflicts. That is why you must not use it in front of people, and you must not cease your practice, even though it is difficult to learn. I don't really care if you break that one. It's okay if you cease your practice, because you don't even want to train him in the first place. A lot of people view magic as a tool of pain of destruction. Yeah, lots of people. And yet they still do it because pride and bullshit. Magical pride of all the stupid special families. Whole war is, yeah, magnification. Indeed. It's all about that dumb pride. All the fight for a stupid relic that's just gonna, like, give you growdiness anyways. Most important thing is that magic is something you use not for yourself, but for others. If you do that, you may become a magic user, but you will not become a magus. Use not for yourself, but for others. I mean, I feel like all magic users are to an extent using magic for themselves. Or, at least, I guess, for the pride of their family. Is not for themselves? For their family name, I suppose, isn't necessarily for yourself. I guess Kiritsugu didn't want me to become a magus. I don't care about that. I don't admire a magus. I admire Kiritsugu. If I can become a Kiritsugu and be there for someone, like on that red day, that'll be, you can finally forgive yourself for surviving. I think Kiritsugu is wrong about that. Which part? The magic is something you use not for yourself, but for others. They definitely have implied Kiritsugu as a magical circuit to pass on and just didn't because Shiro was not an Emiya. Families and making their own legacy. If you do that, you may become a magic user, but you will not become a magus. I assume most magi would just do their stuff for their lineages. Yeah. So maybe for Kiritsugu's definition, if you want to be a true magus, a true hero, he's using his own biases to say, you know, you want to be a real magical, awesome guy, you gotta do it for others. Do it yourself, you're a selfish jerk. But there's plenty of maguses that just do that. That will be... Dash, I'm thinking needlessly. I feel the iron rod in my backbone slide in place. Oh god, if I lose control of my breathing now, it will be a fatal mistake. The artificial magic circuit will eat away my body and destroy it. If that happens, I'll die. I would be only an amateur, failing such an elementary step. A step you shouldn't have to be taking, but, you know, we don't know that yet, I guess. Dash. I grind my teeth and resume the connection. After a battle like walking on needles, the iron rod finally arrives deep within me and fuses with my body. If he couldn't, or just plain didn't pass on to Shiro, it makes me wonder where it went. I assume it just, larger source went to the mana of the world, most likely, because it probably existed, but he couldn't because of the blood ties, or wouldn't have wanted to. I don't think he wanted Shiro to had that life anyways, but the magic would just, I assume, dissipate into the air Assuming Ilya didn't steal it somehow, but that doesn't seem like something that would have happened. This process took me about an hour. After that much time, I'm finally able to make one artificial circuit. One circuit that produces magical energy. Basic structure analyzed. After that, becomes a process of naturally flowing magical energy. Emiyashiro is no magus. He's only a magic user who can create magical energy within his body and channel it into objects. So there's only one magic possible, which is composition analyze, strengthening objects. It's a magic of strengthening that reinforces the object's abilities by understanding the object structure and channeling magical energy into it. Really is a lot of magic blumbo jumbo. A lot of it doesn't actually matter that much, especially because his main thing, sword birth, even though it's based on the analyzing, the actual strengthening isn't really used much more. But it's the thing that he tries to do before realizing that he's actually great with sword birth stuff. But the amount of mumbo jumbo spent on it is a little bit of a wank fest that's not necessarily necessary. Basic structure, altar. Before me is a metal pipe. I'll channel magical energy into it, perform the simplest magic, reinforces durability. Basically, channeling your magical energy into something other than yourself. He does start with a pipe, so he's like reinforcing it into a sword, which at least implies the sword birth, sword sheath thing. But if he goes on arrows in the other pathway, then this becomes even less necessary if he doesn't end up going down the sword birth route and goes down more like arrow birth route. Channeling your magic into something other than yourself is like pouring poison into that object. Problem is, all this doesn't really matter, and all the magic did was improve his willpower. It is just as the blood of Emiyashiro is not the blood of the metal pipe. Pumping different blood only accelerates breakdown, certainly wouldn't strengthen it. To prevent that and to turn the poison into a tonic, one must clearly understand the structure of the target and channel the magic on. Composition reinforce. It must be easy for a skilled magus, but for me, who cannot even create sufficient magical energy, it's hard as hitting a target 100 times away. Usual target energy is 28 meters away. Oh, you know that off the top of your head? How much harder is it at many times that distance? Goes without saying. Gah! The heat in my body quickly escapes. The burning pillar in my backbone disappears, and the lungs stretch to the limit, demand air. And it's like his whole... Yeah, the thing about him having to do this every time to just get the thing to stick into him, but then he just abandons that when Rin helps him flip the switch, makes this whole scene feel less useful. It does show that, again, it's the willpower thing of... he becomes more... it shows how dedicated he is, but they spend a lot of time explaining the intricacies of how he does it when how he does it stops mattering not too far in when Rin just helps him flip the switch. A lot of Fate Stay Night fans that love this magic exposition. I can understand enjoying the lore, but I would like... when I read a narrative and I hear lore, I'm like, okay, how is this lore important? Because if it's just lore for lore's sake, I'm like, just put that in a fucking wiki page. I don't need to read it in the actual visual novel. Compared to character scenes, where I just find more and more about the characters, yeah, I'd agree to an extent. I enjoy lore. I'm a big lore buff. But, like, if the lore is, in the novel, then have it matter for the story. Otherwise, just, you can have it in some extra material, which I would probably read. I enjoy hearing about the lore goodness, but when it's in the novel, it can interfere with analysis if it just ends up meaning nothing. Yeah, Shiro isn't in the archery club. Indeed. Still, though, the fact that he knows 28 meters off the top of his head, shows that he's, definitely an archer. I feel like that's a fact. I guess once you're in the archery club, it's not that weird to know that off the top of your head, I suppose. It's still a bit of, I definitely wouldn't know that an archery target is 28 meters away. That's just 28 exactly. You don't even hesitate. You don't think, was it 25? Was it 29? 28 exact? I guess it could be one of the first things you learn in archery club, potentially. I don't know. I'm actually speeding through my words a little bit right now because I think I have to pee a little bit, but I also don't even want to take a break. I just want to stop. I'm trying to get to the end of the first day. I don't remember how long is left. I irk my back to hold off the days, almost making me pass out. Damn it, I failed again. There's no change in the metal pipe. It seems that the magical energy I poured into it has evaporated into the air. It's hard to improve something that already has form. The thing I'm attempting is like adding something to an already complete work of art. Adding to a complete object risks making it less perfect. Oh, Renegade. What? Unless we have a flashback dream before the day switch. If we get to a flashback dream, I'd probably stop at the start of the flashback dream. I would assume the flashback dream happens at the day switch. Usually it does. A complete object risks making it less perfect. Yeah, if you take a perfect Digimon and evolve it, it just becomes an ultimate Digimon. And that's not perfect anymore. Clearly, they fucked up somewhere. What? Adding unnecessary things will actually decrease the value. The thing I'm attempting is like, you can't make me go to the restroom, Panana. I'll go to the restroom when I'm good and ready. I once held in a pee for an entire movie because as the movie was about to start, I realized, oh shit, I have to pee. Wait, it's already starting. It's too late. I can't go pee now. So I sat through the whole movie. Good, what, 90 minutes? I had to pee the whole time. I made it through. I can easily hold my pee for like 2 hours. Thing I'm attempting is like adding something to an already complete work of art. This feels analyzable. There's no change in the metal pipe. It seems that the magical energy has evaporated into thin air. I think I'm attempting is like adding something to an already complete work. This adds an interesting analyses. I like about these magic scenes because they kind of reflect Shiro's character. Yeah, the name of his magic is projection. Yeah, that's true. I'm in pain just thinking about that. Sitting through a whole movie having to pee. Yeah. Thing I'm attempting is like adding something to an already complete work of art. Adding to a complete object risks making it less perfect. There's some analysis point here. Like, the idea is, you know, oh, it's an object, it's already how it's meant to be, so you don't want to change it. That actually has some inner reflection, too, because it's him accepting that things are the way they are. Like, don't try to tinker with them. Don't try to reach beyond your bounds. Maybe there's, you know, the idea that he is as good as he's going to be, and so he shouldn't try to mess with himself too much, and he just accepts that they're as much as they're going to be, for good or for bad. Maybe. He can't stray from that path. There's also that he's forced onto that path. You can't change it. Or he can't change himself. Both are valid. He can't change the path he's forced himself on. That is the path. Straying would make it worse. Or he's as good as he's going to be. He's not going to make himself a more perfect individual. Even though he's not perfect at all, he thinks, this is my object. Even if it's not good, this is the perfection of the object. If you try to change himself too much, it'll just decrease his own self-worth more than it already is, which is already pretty bad. Which makes him even more scared of facing hard truths. There, boom, analysis point. Kind of supports his attitude in the end of the Fate route. The attitude about not wanting to go back. You cannot change the past because the complete object, the timeline is what it is. Don't risk messing with it. That's fair. That's fair. I suppose that could be just a through-line mentality for him, even ignoring the fact that it can be a dual-meaning subtext. It's sort of a conflicted subtext, but he could reinforce it and then come back and realize, no, it's true, it's just I was using the wrong subtext. That's possible. That is why the magic of strengthening is simply yet difficult. Only a few magic use it willingly. It's not like I use it willingly either, but it can't be helped, as this is the only thing I'm good at. You could just not do it and do other things with your life, but yeah. And are you even good at it when you have to strain yourself to do it every time? It'd be much easier if I could just form something out of clay and use it instead, but a substitute in appearance doesn't have the internal structure to match. You don't even need a substitute, just make it from nothing. The actual text of the scene is that this magic is not working. He can't alter existing stuff. He needs to make his own work. Yeah, sword birthing. Yeah, okay. So there's some meaning to the scene, but the magic mumbo jumbo is a bit excess. It's not like there's no meaning to the scene. I wasn't trying to say there was no meaning, but it does definitely feel like there's extra fluff that could be cut. The junk around here is a good example. When I fail with strengthening magic, I make some substitute objects to practice and to calm down, but they all end up with nothing inside. Fail strengthening. Nothing inside, so when you try to substitute, it just ends up empty. If he tried to make his life anything than what he already set out towards, if he tried to change its direction now, it might just be fruitless. I can visualize something structured easily, so I can make the outside look like the original. But it's empty inside, and of course, it doesn't do anything. You can visualize a future that isn't the one you're already on, but if it's just, empty dreams, it'll probably not go anywhere. The moment he starts making his own work. Yeah, the moment he does start making his own work, it's not empty inside. Wait, his own path is empty as fuck. I mean, when he makes Sword Birth, there's some substance there. It's not empty. He thinks it'll be empty. He keeps telling himself it'll be empty, but I feel like it's not as empty as he thinks it is. And that's the whole point. Yeah, sometimes it feels like a little bit too much. I mean, this isn't repeated necessarily. It's just even the first time through. A lot of it feels like you might think too deeply into it for only a lot of it not to matter. At least it hasn't really mattered yet. Some of it has, but a big bulk of it does feel a little wankery. Dash. I wipe the sweat off my brow. Now that I think about it, I realize my whole body is sweating like I've been drenched with a bucket of water. But I'm lucky it just ended like this. That was really bad. I meant more here in this scene with early Shiro. Oh, his own path right now, but if he changes it, it'll be better. So he thinks, oh, this is as good as it gets, but changing it actually does make it better. Oh, that's what you mean? Not really knowing the meaning of his actions. And that's why they're empty? That's fair. That's why they don't result in anything important? Fair. That was really bad. If I'd taken a second longer to recover myself, I would probably have destroyed most of my body. And yet you like that, don't you? You wouldn't let it happen, but you'd want it. It'd be too easy to just let it happen. If I improved every time I came close to death, there might be some hope. Ugh, that would be you wanting to have that happen, but that's just an excuse. It's not even that easy. We can't be Super Saiyans with our Zenkai powers. Is that what it's called? Zenkai? When he's full saber-sexual, that's when his objectives have actual matter. Yeah, I guess. Even if his saber-sexualness is misguided. It's misguided, but at least he does make more progress. And he feels more determined to actually, do something about things. That's true. It's true that you won't improve your magic if you're scared of death. As long as you study magic, death is always right beside you. Even maybe that's part of why you wanted to do magic so much. Oh, I could die? I don't care. I should already be dead anyway. A simple magic repeated every day can go off with a simple mistake. Taking the caster's life can go off with a simple mistake. First step of magic is to accept death. Kiritsugu said so sadly. Maybe he meant that he didn't want me to take such a step. Indeed. Saving someone means not saving someone else. Superhero is really selfish, huh? Kiritsugu said that to me when I told him I wanted to be just like him. I still don't know what he meant. You know, because you got saved and the others didn't, and you feel bad about it. You think they should have been saved. But he's like, no, it had to be you. You shouldn't feel bad about it, but you never fully comprehended that, which is why you end up feeling super fucking bad about it. Emiya Shiro has to become a superhero who goes around saving people, just like Emiya Kiritsugu. Just like him? Wouldn't you want to be better than him if he's only saving one person in place of another? Superheroes really selfish, indeed. But I still can't even do basic things like this. Why do I get distracted by needless things at the most important times? I'm so stupid. Oh, hey, yeah. It's not enough to understand the structure of an object with more vision. A skilled magist only detects what's important and channels magical energy without waste. Yeah, like all this wasted text that doesn't mean anything, the magic mumble okay, this is important. My dream is to become a superhero. Sorry, I'm just speaking a little extra because of my pee jitters. You know the pee-pee dance? Where you go back and forth? I'm doing the little contained pee-pee dance where I use my foot on the floor and I do it up and down. It's the contained pee-pee dance where you're actually still sitting down. I remember what Fujine said during dinner. I don't think it's embarrassing nor impossible. Which part? It's already determined Emiya Shiro will succeed. Oh, that part. You say that, the future being predetermined. Just like how Saber was pre-written to go back into the past and change things. Shiro wants to be Super Sentai Ranger. I'll take a B soon. When Rin does magic exposition in the prologue, it was simple and concise. Here with Shiro, it's all over the place. Even some of Rin's stuff was a little bloated, but here though, Shiro, it's almost like he's talking so much about it because he glorifies it, Whereas Rin doesn't really like it. He glorifies it because Kiritsugu passed it on. He thinks this is the path to being the superhero. But, so he talks all about it, all about how great it is. Whereas Rin's just like, yeah, this is magic, this is its function, it kind of sucks. So at least there, that's a narrative purpose if you want to read into more subtext, I suppose. Even if the actual text feels like filler. Emiya Shiro will succeed Emiya Kiritsugu. That's why even though I'm inexperienced, I've done everything I can. But yeah, that does sound similar to, and we did talk about Shiro and Saber are a bit similar, though there's definitely a key difference. Shiro's like, oh, the future is predetermined. This path, I shouldn't stray from it. There's that. And there's also, like, Saber also, like, the Grail, her getting the Grail and going back in time and having it all along was supposed to be like, oh, that's predetermined. But it's like a changing the past predetermined thing, which is timey-wimey and gets in the way of the straight line and, you know, living with the consequences. Which Shiro, only when he actually puts it into words can he actually start being more smartical about things. Because he does want to kind of sort of go back and change things. And he's like, you know, iffy about it. But he doesn't want to, but he does. And it's conflicting. And only when he's forced to confront it does everything get better for him. But I don't know what kind of a person a superhero should be. So I can only approach it by helping others within the limits of my abilities. I've read the novel so much that I just want to read new subtext. I have aimed straight for that goal for the past 5 years, but when things just go wrong like this, I have doubts. And you're going to keep having doubts, because your straight line is a straight line to nothing. I don't get it, Father. Aimed straight for the goal for the past 5 years. When things go wrong like this, I have doubts. Are you going to acknowledge those doubts or just brush them to the side? How can I become a superhero? Okay, looking up at the sky. I look up at the sky through the window. It's not like I can just randomly do good deeds. Yes, you can. That is a thing you can do. But you don't want to because you're a death seeker. I think being a superhero is different from just helping others. I know that, but the question is, how can I become one? The difference between the two is the thing I failed to understand for the past 5 years. And even trying to understand that is a waste of fucking time, man. Don't want to be a real superhero. It's all a lie. He just wants the feeling to fill the void. Now day changes. Yeah, second day. Woo! Is there a dream? Was I right? There'd be a dream at the start of the day? My awakening is dark. It's reminiscing music, but it's not really a dream. Anyways, I went a little longer than I wanted. Superhero doesn't, I still wanted to make sure I had a decent amount of progress today, though. Doesn't equal helping others. Yes, I'm not substituting the word superhero with anything else. What are you substituting the word for? Superhero doesn't equal helping others. Being selfish doesn't equal helping others? Being Shiro Emiya doesn't equal helping others? There's definitely a joke you're making, and I laughed at it, but now I'm like, wait, what? Anyways. Day 2. Burgerloo. Louis. No. Louis. Nope. Louis. We finally finished. We finished day 1. Save. Okay, so that is we'll never reach new content. It's fine. Alright, yeah, so I am done for now. I do have to pee. My throat is a little parched. And I'm gonna stop for now. We're on day 2. We're gonna do day 2 tomorrow. Tomorrow probably will be the entirety of day 2, based on the pace of this one. But we'll see when we get there. I'm done. It's over. Goodbye. Video's over.